From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Yes, it is. It is 6 minutes past the hour. Welcome to the program. And I've been giving a lot of thought. I've been up for a long time. I got up this morning about 1:45 a.m. and just said, let's take on the day. Let's do this. And I was thinking about a lot of things. My father, Normandy, France, June 6th, 1944. American heroes that stormed the beach, climbed up cliffs, the greatest generation who saved the world. And I've mentioned this to you before. On my studio wall, I created a little section, and it reads, Thomas J. Hurley, Bronze Star Medal, 12 July, 1945. And I'm going to read it. I look at it every day. I have it in my office at home, and I have a copy here. The copy here is so good that people have said, oh, my God, I can't believe, because this looks like it's on parchment paper. And I have the original, which is, it's an heirloom. And I've made copies of it that look like they're the original. Right down to the parchment almost bumps throughout the paper. It's not wrinkled. It's just that parchment paper type of look. Bronze Star Medal by the direction of the President under the provisions of Executive Order number 9419 for February 1944. A Bronze Star Medal is awarded by the Commanding General, Americal Division, to the following named officer and enlisted men. Corporal Thomas J. Hurley, and then his military number. Corps of Engineers, United States Army, for heroic achievement in military operations against the enemy at Cebu, Philippines Island on 29 March 1944. So think about that. I'll pause for a second just to add context. June 6, 1944, 80 years ago today, we entered the war. This was, 9 months, thereabouts, 9, almost 10 months into the war. Corporal Hurley, incidentally, I know I've told this to you on at least one occasion. I was minding my own business one day, and I'm flipping around the channel, and I couldn't believe it. But there was a television program devoted to this entire battle of Cebu, Philippines Islands. And I kept thinking, because there's so much video, that maybe I'd see my father on this video. So I watched it, and it was fascinating. Corporal Hurley was a member of a mine detection team supporting an infantry regiment during the early stages of the Cebu operation. When tanks were called up to destroy enemy pillboxes, Corporal Hurley walked ahead of them, detecting the mines in their path and deactivating or exploding them with TNT charges. Sidebar. I can't even process that. Raise your hand if you would like to walk in front of a tank in an enemy island, find landmines that can kill you, and then when you find them, you blow them up or deactivate them. So if you can't deactivate them, then you explode them with TNT charges. I can't even imagine that, being called upon to do something like that. I think my father was about 27 or 28 years old at that time. While engaged in this hazardous task, and I do know how to read, it's small print on my phone. I didn't want to take it off the wall. While engaged in this hazardous task, the mine detection team encountered heavy enemy rifle and machine gun fire. In the ensuing action, one member of the team was killed and another was wounded. Corporal Hurley and two other men immediately went to the aid of the wounded man and carried him to safety by helping in the removal of the mines. Corporal Hurley contributed materially to the success of the operation. Then it has the home address of my grandmother, which I don't even recognize that street today. It is a horror show. 2214 East Gordon Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What that area, located right by the elevated, horrific. Sometimes they tell you either don't meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed, or don't try to go back and look at something that you remember a certain way. I remember when my grandfather was moving in with us that we went to his home, and we visited there occasionally. It was a great neighborhood. It felt safe. Everybody knew everybody. The homes were very close to one another. And I went back, I don't even know what to say if I went back today. I won't. I'm not going to ever go back there again. But I had the occasion. I had this great video camera that broke. I don't even want to get into the story of the freak accident that broke the camera. And it's even a more hilarious story getting it fixed and what happened seconds after we brought it home. But Margie and I took a ride. We found a place to fix it, and there was nothing local. So we drove to Philadelphia to fix this video camera. This is a number of years ago. That's why I'm saying I don't even know what East Gordon Street looks like today, because you don't even think about like a home movie camera. So we're in the neighborhood, and I said to Margie, I said, we're very close to where my grandfather used to live, East Gordon Street. Let's take a ride. So we did. Oh, I remember saying to Margie, why did I suggest this? Horrible. So we get home, and I'm charging the video camera. It's a terrible story. The door where you would put the film in was open. It was charging. The length of the cord was such that it barely let you put the unit in the very corner of our dining room table. This is just a mini horror show. And we have wood floors now, but they were carpeted then, very soft, padding and very, very plush and soft. The camera gets bumped, if I remember correctly, by me. We had only been home for minutes. Let's charge the camera, because we had these videos we wanted to watch that only fit in the camera of the kids when they were littler and stuff like that. I bumped the thing off the table. You didn't even hear it hit the floor. It was so soft. But the door was open, and guess what? The camera was broken all over again. It was like a joke, a cruel joke. We had driven all the way to Philadelphia and back, and the camera was broken, I'm not kidding you, within 2 minutes of us being back in the house. How about that one? Like I tell you, that's my luck. I have the most bizarre bad luck on little things, but it's all balanced because we've had a lifetime of phenomenal blessings and, great luck regarding big things. So I just always just accept that. Like, what's going to break today? What crazy thing, what conversation am I going to have with someone today where they say they've never heard of that ever happening before? I think it's got to be the way that life has to be. You're not going to ever be given just smooth sailing. It's like you wake up on the prom day and you have some big cold sore right on your lip. Oh my God, I never get that. Of course it's today. Or day of picture day. You're never going to be given just total, beautiful, tranquil, straight line, peace, and everything good. And I think there's a reason for that. You would not appreciate anything if everything always went your way. So I think one of the big motivating things that I've had in my lifetime is a lot of things don't go my way. A lot of things do, but a lot of things don't go as I wish they would. I don't mean big things. The big things, I have zero complaints. And the little things, I pretty much try to laugh off. Now, look, I wasn't happy. The ride was about an hour and 30 minutes, if I remember. And so that's 3 up and back. And then mission accomplished. And 2 minutes later, no go. And incidentally, we never got that camera fixed ever again. It's in the bag. The little tapes are in there. I kind of wish they would make, because some cameras did have it, the little, like they called them like either data packs or something like that. And then they would fit into something that would look just like a VHS tape. It was ingenious. And then you could put the VHS tape right into your VHS player and play your videotapes like that. This wasn't like that. You pretty much had to play it either watching the screen of the camera or with a wire. You could connect it to your TV and then you could play it over the TV. But it is, it is the just the nature of things. So as I circle back, Jen Psaki, to my opening remarks about Normandy, France, about D-Day and my father, I started to look at a couple of things. For him to be alive today on the 80th anniversary of D-Day, my father would have to be 107 years old today. Not impossible, but, not very likely. That's why I think as of 1 year ago, only 1%. I know like 2 years ago or so, the number was a few 100,000, I think. World War II folks were still alive. That number is getting so small. The estimate that I heard as of 1 year ago, 1% of those who served in World War II are alive today. 1%. That's it. But they did it. They did it all. They are the greatest generation, and they literally saved the world. And then you look at some of this crap that we have going on today. It's shockingly disappointing.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Ocean City.
EHD.
Brigantine.
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Fox News commentary.
Allowing thousands to cross the border per day is not taking action, and the fact Joe and Democrats want you to think so goes to show how little they think of your intelligence. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best of each of us made better by the best in all of us. It's what Stifel's been doing for over 130 years. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management and investment banking firms in the industry. Stifel. It's where success meets success. Start your journey at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
After years of lying that our border is secure, this week Joe's teleprompter admitted it's not. But his executive order on the border is window dressing at best. It normalizes thousands of illegals a day and nearly 1 million per year as acceptable. What the order does is temporarily suspend the entry of illegals across the southern border once the number of average border encounters exceeds 2,500 a day over 7 days. That pause will stay in effect until 14 days after there has been a 7-day average of less than 1,500 encounters along the border. Plus, the list of exceptions is longer than a CVS receipt. Do you know how many illegals should be allowed? 0. Do you know how many should be deported? All of them. Do not be fooled by this executive order. It normalizes the invasion, and it's too little and too much too late. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Enable our skill and tell your smart speaker, play WPG. Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person that can make sense of what's happening in Atlantic City.
On WPG
Yes, I am
Talk
that man.
Radio 95.5.
25 minutes past the hour. You inspired me, ladies and gentlemen. During the break, I posted the following. The picture, which is self-explanatory. I put my father's name and Bronze Star Medal, 12 July 1945. And then above it, I wrote, my father, ... in all capital letters, the greatest generation, period. New paragraph. These heroes literally saved the world, period. New paragraph. Today, instructions caution you not to eat Tide detergent pods. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about what the greatest generation was busy doing and the literal garbage that we have today. Political slime balls like Marty Small. I mean, you think about what, for me, just a generation before me. Well, I guess let's think now. Yeah, a generation before me. Our parents. If you're a baby boomer, if your parents were World War II era. Think about it. The degradation of our society is scary at an alarming rate. When we come back, I come bearing some of the first polls since President Trump's felonious conviction. His felonious, fake, bogus conviction. And I have to say, this has to be, nothing's going to top it today and nothing's going to top it tomorrow. Even though every major talk radio host in America will be together in one place at the same time. This is my favorite line of the week. It comes by way of a hot mic. United States Senator Joni Ernst. She said, and I quote, oh gosh, why do I forget which senator she whispered it to? Darn it. Good guy. I just can't remember. But I remember this because I said, I'm committing this to memory. This is too good. Quote unquote. Here's what she said on a hot mic in like a whisper, but you could hear every word of it. Bottom line, this is a quote. Bottom line, never trust a man whose uncle was eaten by cannibals. Quote, unquote, Joni Ernst. It's one of the greatest lines I've ever heard. Shouldn't have been a whisper. Shouldn't have been a hot mic. Say it. It's even better, though, that it was caught this way. Quote, bottom line, never trust a man whose uncle was eaten by cannibals. Quote, end quote. This portion of the Hurley in the Morning program is brought to us in part by United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City. And there are some pretty neat things happening that I want to tell you about for the month of June. And they do such a fabulous job. There are great events that are happening. They've got the classic car show that's going to be taking place on June 18th from 9 a.m. I'm sorry, it's June 15th, but there is a reason that June 18th is on my mind as well with United Methodist Communities at the Shores, and I'll get to that in just a second. But it's their 13th annual Father's Day Classic Car Show, and it's right around the corner on Saturday, June 15th. It's going to be fabulous, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and on Tuesday, June 18th, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, a free memory screening event. If you're considering senior living options for yourself or a loved one, I recommend United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City. It's fully remodeled with private apartments, 2 restaurants, a bistro, on-site fitness center, and it's just 3 short blocks from the Ocean City Boardwalk and Beach. The Shores is proud to present insightful and fun events for our community, so don't miss the Father's Day Classic Car Show. It's coming up in less than 2 weeks. You're going to love it. 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. A week from this Saturday. And a free memory screening event that's open to the public the Tuesday thereafter from 10 a.m. until 12 noon at the Shores, 2201 Bay Avenue in Ocean City. You don't have to RSVP for the 13th Annual Father's Day Classic Car Show. You do need to RSVP for the Tuesday, June 18th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon Memory Center event. It's a screening event, and they do a great job. Call Michelle for the memory event at 609-399-8505. That's 609-399-8505. We'll be back in just a little bit. Don't go away. I am Hurley in the Morning.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
And I'm still Hurley in the Morning, and I have 3 stories that you can follow on the WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. We just dropped the hammer. We dropped the gauntlet. We plant the flag, whatever you want to call it. The state of New Jersey must take action now against the Atlantic City mayor and his wife. Roz from the TV show Frasier is the daughter of a Philadelphia Action News legend who died tragically, by the way. And the Atlantic City mayor and his wife, they believe.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our overnight round of rain is out of here, but we're not quite done with stormy weather today. Looks like spotty thunderstorms will redevelop from midday through this afternoon. Could be some localized downpours and gusty winds, so please stay weather aware today. Mostly cloudy, warm, and very humid otherwise, high 84. Drying out tonight, low 67. Tomorrow, not as humid. Partly sunny and breezy, high 83. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. Here is an important safety.
Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning.
They stick to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 36 minutes past the hour. I wasn't late. My host mic button is sticking. Like I told you, little things. Let me take this opportunity to confirm once and for all that which you have known for years. But again, you know how we talk all the time about the 4 stages of the truth? Obfuscation in the beginning, lies, and And then it takes a certain period of time for the truth to become self-evident in the fourth stage. Well, guess what? In court yesterday, the FBI confirmed the authenticity of the infamous Hunter Biden computer laptop in open court, which means they lied during the 2020 election because they knew it then as well, which also means Joe Biden lied all about it as well. And I'm just praying, because it's always hard in the moment of truth, that President Trump remembers all these things. There's certain things that on June 27th, on the occasion, and I'm going to cry sad tears if President Trump doesn't wish the great Margie Hurley a happy birthday. Oh, excuse me. I forget. Is this one? I think it's CNN. Excuse me, Jake. Jake, good question. But before I answer the question, I just want to wish Margie Hurley a happy birthday. Okay, Jake, now I'll answer your question. So that is, the debate is June 27th, Margie's birthday. I kind of wish it was on a different day, but we'll go with it. So there's certain things that I want President Trump to say, hey, the last time I debated this guy, he knew he was lying. He lied to the American people. It worked because he had 51 bad people that also lied. And he should say that when he's president, each one of them will immediately lose their security clearance. They should not receive any top secret security briefings. They have forfeited that right with what they did. They can't say they did it by mistake. We really thought that. They never thought it. It was a lie to help elect Joe Biden. The very institutions of our system at every turn worked against the sitting president and in Biden's favor. Joe, you lied 4 years ago. What do you have to say for yourself? What's he going to say? Yeah, you're a convicted felon. I don't have to answer anything to you. And then Trump can say, if it's true, we'll have to wait and see. This is a real test. The prosecution may rest their case today, certainly by tomorrow. So this thing is moving very, very quickly. And I don't know to what extent. I don't know that the defense is going to put on some lengthy. They got nothing. They're trying to say he didn't put the X in the box. Well, the government has witnesses saying I watched him put the X in the box. They're playing with the English language, like what the meaning of the word is that he's an addict, but he wasn't an addict at that moment. But then you have all that testimony from ex-wives and that he was doing crack every 15, 20 minutes. I'm amazed he's alive, actually. But you look at him, he's shot. Look at him. Look at his eyes, his dead eyes. He is absolutely shot. So let's see. This is going to be a great test. Will Delaware convict a Biden? That's going to be fantastical to see. You know my desire. I want him to be found. I don't even want it to be a hung jury. I'll take that. That's my second, fallback. But I want him to be exonerated. I want jury nullification. The alternative would be the system works. The president was convicted last week. The president's son was convicted this week. I don't want that. I don't want that subterfuge. So join with me. The Hurley doctrine is root for Hunter. Root for Hunter. Hunter for acquittal. Let's make it happen. But that really came into crystal clear focus for me. The FBI confirms the authenticity of the infamous Hunter Biden laptop computer in open court. And then that's why the President Trump has to say on June 27th, Joe, you blatantly lied. What's he going to say? No, I really believed it then. That turns out not to be true, but I really believed it. No, you didn't. That was always your son's laptop, and all the hoe pictures in there, and naked pictures, and naked Hunter with the gun in his hand, naked Hunter smoking crack. That was always your son's computer. Here's going to be a very interesting, I say Joe Biden because he's total mashugana. He won't be able to help it. He's going, I wish I could do like an odds board, like, and when it happens, it would just pop up on your screen. Boom, look, it happened. Some kind of like, Batman type pow, biff, bam. Joe Biden is going to call President Trump a convicted felon. Now, my only sort of caveat, if Hunter Biden is also a convicted felon by then, maybe Biden doesn't do it. Because, Trump could just say, hey, Joe, you got to go there. You're the guy. I hold that title right now, and it will be removed, I promise you. But it'll be after the election, unfortunately, and, you see to all this. You did this, and then you get to say that to me? Do you have anything to say about your convicted felon son? He might have to do it just to even the odds. Settle the score right there. You're going to go there, Joe? So this is going to be very, very interesting. Obviously, the format is what Biden wants. The locale is what Biden wants. He got everything. As usual. That's the game. They get everything. The Wall Street Journal, and I am ashamed of the White House, ashamed of all these liars in the Democrat media that are sliming the Wall Street Journal by saying that it was some kind of hit piece. The Wall Street Journal cited information from 45 different sources, including Republicans and Democrats, about Joe Biden and the fact that his mental fitness, he is slipping. Now, all I can say is, finally, someone reports what we've known and said to you all along. And, of course, the Democrat media has been purposely lying about it, denying it for all these years. And guess what? For the next 5 months, it's going to come more, just like I told you years ago. Don't even worry about what's not coming out now, because it will come out at the best possible time. And here we are. We've hit that glorious stage, and I'll tell you about it next.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Hurley in the Morning.
Not only the news, but perspective too.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 48 minutes past the hour. So the Wall Street Journal has done what no one else, a handful of us in talk radio and in talk television, a handful, not many, but this is one of the first major newspapers, if you will. The Wall Street Journal, citing information from 45 sources yesterday, described Joe Biden as a commander-in-chief whose command of issues, history, and policy insights is declining. Lawmakers who have met with him for negotiations, including on Ukraine funding and policy changes, told the Wall Street Journal that Biden, who once had a reputation as a master of negotiating legislative deals, I'll read it, but I don't even believe there was ever a time that was true, but who once had a reputation as a master at negotiating legislative deals, is slipping as the months and years go by. Sources in the White House dismiss the report as partisan. Quote, congressional Republicans, foreign leaders, and nonpartisan national security experts have made it clear in their own words that President Biden is a savvy and effective leader who has a deep record of legislative accomplishment. White House spokesman Andrew Bates said, now in 2024, House Republicans are making false claims as a political tactic that flatly contradict previous statements made by themselves and their colleagues. End quote. What a lie. The questions about Biden, 81 years old, come as voter. And remember, you know where I stand on this. It's not the years. It's the mental acuity. I could care less. 81's fine with me. But not when what's left is barely functioning. The questions about Biden come as voters are deciding whether his age should preclude him from serving for another 4 years. You know, I've told you from the beginning, I've just regretted so much how they've incorrectly framed this. It is not age. It's such a cop-out. It's such a cheap way of trying to explain what's going on. It just takes a little bit more effort and willing to do the work to say what it really is. He and former President Donald Trump, who is more than 3 years Biden's junior, will square off publicly for the first presidential debate of 2024 this month, putting on stage a side-by-side comparison. The Journal detailed actions and reactions from politicians who were involved in negotiations for Ukraine funding in January. A conversation with House Speaker Mike Johnson in February about his energy policy, and debt ceiling negotiations in May 23 with then House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And think about this. There was bad stuff then. It's more than a year later than that. And he's so much worse. In the Ukraine meeting, people recall that Biden took about 10 minutes while walking slowly around the cabinet room to greet about 24 leaders from Congress. 10 minutes. And that's not even accurate the way they're describing that, because I heard it described for how it really happened. It basically took him 10 minutes to sit down. When the meeting started, Biden used notes to outline points about needing to give Ukraine money, which participants found odd, as the lawmakers had agreed the money was needed. The president also deferred often to lawmakers and staffers when he was questioned directly, which some in the meeting said they found uncomfortable. Others in the meeting said Biden spoke so softly that participants had trouble hearing him, and that he paused often for extended periods, closing his eyes for long enough that some in the room were concerned that he had fallen asleep, that he was actually no longer listening. Those close to Biden dismissed the claims. Gene Sperling, a top Biden aide who worked in the past for former presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, said presidents often use note cards dealing and during serious policy meetings. Casey Redmond, a National Security Council official, said Biden only deferred questions twice, to National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and to Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, tell you what, better keep the House. This guy would be a nightmare if he ever becomes Speaker. He sickens me. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat in New York, said Biden was, quote, incredibly strong, forceful, and decisive, end quote. You know, are you sick and tired of these people lying to you and basically calling you a liar, that you don't see what you see and hear the babbling that you hear? Patty Murray, Democrat Washington, was also at the meeting and said on X on Wednesday that, quote, everyone attacking Biden in the Wall Street Journal accounting is a Republican with an agenda. See how they do that? Quote, I made it clear at Wall Street Journal regarding the January meeting on Ukraine that the president was absolutely engaged and ran that meeting in a way that brought everyone together. I'm not quoted. I wonder why. But Senator James Risch, Republican, Idaho, said that while people call Biden a, quote, dynamo behind closed doors, quote, they need to get him out from behind closed doors because I didn't see it. This is the other thing I keep telling you. They keep telling us, oh, you should see what we see. You should see behind closed doors, the energy. We can't keep up with them. Well, wait a minute. Why do they save it for only behind closed doors? You mean to tell me there's this great version that you get to see that we don't get to see? You don't believe that. Nobody believes that. Meanwhile, in February's conversation with Johnson in the Oval Office, Biden commented that a policy change affecting several major energy projects was just a study. According to 6 sources, Johnson told about their talk. The speaker also said he was worried about Biden's memory slipping about the policy. Bates claimed those who heard Johnson's version were just repeating a false account and that Biden was trying to tell Johnson that the policy would not cause the harm that he thought. McCarthy, who was ousted as speaker last year, commented to the Wall Street Journal about the negotiations over increasing the debt ceiling, saying that the president would ramble and always had cards because he couldn't negotiate another way. So that's a little window into what really is going on. Rasmussen Reports has released their first survey because, they do the rolling thing, but it's a 3-day rolling average and all this. They have individual days of polling, but then they put it out on a 3-day rolling average, which I think is good because it really takes away the anomalies of any one day. So here we go. In a 2-way contest between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, 48% of likely voters would choose Trump. 43% would choose Biden. Now, can you believe that after 34 felony count guilty verdict, that the President of the United States, past and future President Trump, leads the fake occupant by 5 points? That is amazing. That's Rasmussen. A Morning Consult poll that came out also has Trump in the lead. By the way, in a 3-way match, because I really think you need to, not even in 3-way, you got to do the 5-way. But in a 3-way matchup, it's Trump leading Biden 45-40. He doesn't lose anything there. 8% would vote for Kennedy. In a 5-way matchup with Jill Stein and Cornel West added, 44% would vote for Trump. 38% would vote for Biden. So it's a 6-point lead. He doesn't lose any ground, which is amazing. How about this one? Among unaffiliated voters, Trump has a big lead, 49% to Biden's 34% in a 2-way contest. Trump now leads Biden by double digits among Hispanic voters. Wow. That is amazing. And I think he has 37% of the African American vote. 50% of Hispanics. 56% of other minorities would vote for Trump. Wow. Stunning. And there's a new poll out in Georgia, and President Trump holds a comfortable 5-point lead in Georgia. And in case you haven't followed the news, an appellate court in Georgia has indefinitely suspended the case. There's no way that Fani Willis is going to get to do that prior to November 5th, and she might get knocked out altogether. That's under consideration right now, knocking her out. All right, here's what I need. I need you to call me right now and be heard on the Hurley in the Morning program, 609 609-407-1450. Call me now, 609-407-1450.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's almost 6 minutes past the hour. Well, you've done it. I asked you to call 609-407-1450, and you went and you did it. And I thank you. There's one open phone line at 609-407-1450. Let's go right to your calls. I did hear a sad story right before coming back from the break. A 102-year-old man. I wish I didn't quite get his name. I'm going to make it my business, though, to find out what his name is. I just want to spend a little bit of time today, finding out a little bit about him. He was making his way to Normandy, and he got as far as Germany. He became ill, and he died. So literally just missed being a part of today's 80th anniversary program that they're having in Normandy, France. What a sad story. 102 years old, and was on his way and didn't quite make it. 609-407-1450. We're taking your phone calls now. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. Hi there.
Good morning, Howard. It's conservative Keith from Northfield.
Hi, Keith.
How are you?
Good. Thank you.
This day reinforces they should have military month, buddy.
Oh, without a doubt.
And also, I'll be your insurance policy for your golf tournament in case somebody drops out.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Sign me up. I can't get 4 guys together, so.
Well, guess what? Hold on a second. Let me just write myself a note. Hold on. There's a reason I'm doing this, Keith.
Okay.
Certain things are meant to be.
Awesome.
Here's the deal. I had a 4. We're sold out, but you're not going to be unhappy with what I'm about to say. I just want to decide this here and now, and we'll make it happen. I had a foursome. The leader of the foursome had to have surgery. That knocked the whole foursome out. They're going to be back next year, but they're out. I had arrive in my mail. 2 people have done this from out of state. A payment and a form, and just I guess they just think they can do that. Just sign up. So I thought, wow, let me just see what happens with this. I might be sending this check back, but, things have a tendency of working out. So when the foursome canceled, I started a new foursome with that one individual. He doesn't even realize that, he almost wasn't going to get in at all. Then I get an email yesterday from someone that has himself and one other player. That makes 3. How many are in a foursome, Keith?
Last time I checked, there's 4.
And there's
no common core math here, Harry.
Correct, and there still is. So guess what? You are in.
Awesome. I'll drop a check off at the studio. Would that be okay?
That'd be fine. $225, same price it's always been. You're in. 8 a.m. breakfast registration hour, Thursday, June 20th. Linwood Country Club, 9 a.m. shotgun start. You've done it before. You know what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
You're in.
I appreciate it, Harry. Thank you.
You know it. See you, Keith.
See you.
Bye. So glad you called. 609-407-1450. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it live on the air. The Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Tournament is sold out. That's it. I'm so happy because I've got this Talkers thing on my mind. I wanted to have the tournament sold out before I left. And I had this one opening, which I knew we would be able to fill. See what I mean? How, things just work out. Don't stress. Just, they work out. Fantastic. I just put you in my book. And when I get to my home office, I will put you on that particular foursome. It's a very nice foursome. 2 of them are local, and one is, I believe, from Philadelphia. And you got a nice foursome there. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Harry, is it open forum?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I want to bring up the smart meters for Atlantic City Electric.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I'm sitting in my home office getting some things together, and the lights go out, and I was startled because there's nothing going on. I jump up and I say, let me take a look. And I go outside, and yes, there's the person that went ahead and did the change. Now, in the past year, I have been writing letters stating that I'm opting out of the program. I'd rather pay the $15 of extra per month in order to keep my business equipment and my private equipment working steadily. But as a result of this person, and I had a long conversation with her, and she made several telephone calls, and they don't have any record of my even calling or anything else. Well, anyway, so when I get back in there, the water treatment system is off, the computer is off, other things that I depend on to be working. If the water softener comes on and I'm taking a shower at 8 o'clock in the morning when it's supposed to go on at 2 o'clock in the morning, this is the kind of problems this disconnection of the electric does.
Oh, I'm with you on that. I hate that. All your clock on the microwave, all the clocks in the house, like you said, the router to your modem on the computer, and sometimes it comes back, but then sometimes you have to reset it. I don't know if you have this in your home, but we have actually an amplifier because there would be sections of our home that just, it's not acceptable with the one router. So we have an amplifier that has to get reset. That is a nightmare when that mini nightmare when that happens.
Well, fortunately, like I said, I was home when it happened, but that's still an all.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're going to give you that meter come hell or high water, and that's a negative. The second item on my agenda is the way that Curtis's last name is pronounced by not only...
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, don't get me started. Keep in mind, some of the times I know you're a very attention to detail-oriented person. So I'll just say right up front, I've heard it on this station. You've never heard me say Bashaw and all these other crazy things. I wish people would do their homework. It's sloppy. I don't defend it. I don't like it when I hear it. For those listening, Curtis is Curtis Bashaw. It's not Bashaw, and it's not all these other variations that you may be hearing.
By mispronouncing that name, a lot of people who are not political would start saying, who is that? I mean, I never heard of him, that kind of thing. Third thing on my topic here is Dick Van Dyke. They had a wonderful production on Sunday, a tribute to Dick Van Dyke, 98 years old birthday. And it was absolutely fantastic. I only tuned in by accident. I didn't realize the show was going to be on. And 98 years old, the guy talks in sentences, the guy communicates. I mean, it's like... compare that to what we have now in the White House.
Well, this is why I say all the time, it's not the age, it's the mental acuity. Dick Van Dyke, he's a little zany. I think you might admit that. He's a little zany, but he is sharp as a tack at 98.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's what I wanted to bring to your attention, and you have a great day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Good call. Don't mess with that guy. I'm telling you, man. He doesn't miss anything. He's dangerous. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
And to coin a phrase, another beautiful day in Summers Point.
Ha very nice. Very nice.
Hey, listen, I thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to address just a couple things real quick. And you brought up about the Normandy thing, which struck a nerve with me. How dare that person, Joe Biden, even step foot and acknowledge, how dare him? That's just a disgrace with all the veterans that we have in this country and the great service that they provided us over the past multiple years. How dare him? That's just another mark against his terrible record. But the one thing I didn't hear you say, and I'm digressing back to the Hunter Biden, I didn't hear you mention, what about his father, once he's convicted, giving him a pardon?
Okay, this is good. I'm so happy that you brought this up because I did not mention it in my monologue this morning, but I have mentioned it many times that you didn't hear. And the reason I say that is because you would have referred to that. I've heard you say it before, but not today. For those listening, Karine Jean-Pierre is on the record. President Biden is on the record himself that he will not pardon his son if his son is convicted. Now, you and I both know whatever Joe Biden says is a lie. The exact opposite is the truth. You and I both know he may wait until after November 5th, whatever. But if Hunter is convicted, he is going to pardon his son. And then he will once again be the congenital liar that he is. But they want to say that because how does he get away with saying you have to have faith in the system, you have to believe in it, and, you know, how can he have his Trump argument if he's going to then commute or give a full pardon to his son? I know he's going to pardon his son.
Well, liars lie about lying.
Correct.
So I will wish you a great day. If, in fact, and I just heard you mention about that the golf tournament is now fully booked, but I am not a golfer, but I would love to be your caddy.
Well, listen, I can't play either because I'm doing the show. So right. I am a spectator as well. And they no caddies because everybody has a golf cart and they have their bag right, on the back of the cart. But feel free to stop by, though. It's a great day.
I would love to.
Yeah.
It's a terrific event.
Yeah, come by during the broadcast and say hello.
And keep up the great work.
Thank you, George. Have a great day. And keep it a great day in Summers Point.
Thank you.
All right. See ya. I love it. You did that. We'll be right back. Don't go away. When we come back, you will be next. Please don't go away. It is the Hurley in the Morning program at 17 minutes past the hour.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Goshen, Cape May.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
We got word that the House today issued criminal referrals from both Hunter and Jim Biden, which a brand new Trump Justice Department would be certain to pursue in January, and that's not lawfare. House Republicans referred Hunter and James Biden to the DOJ on Wednesday for criminal prosecution over allegations they lied to Congress during their closed-door interviews about their business dealings. These referrals come as the House Oversight Committee, which has been leading the impeachment inquiry, nears the conclusion of their investigation, which, because Republicans don't have a majority and they have about 20-plus rhinos in there, are not going to get a vote on the impeachment inquiry, so they have decided to go forward with criminal referrals.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
You know, this is getting out of control. Our government is sinking $1 trillion in debt every 100 days. That's right, $1 trillion every 100 days. Do you want to bail the government out of debt? I didn't think so. I know I sure don't. This is Linda, and when I worry about the national debt, I turn to safe haven assets like gold and silver. And that's why we partnered with the highest rated gold company, Goldco. They have earned over 5,000 five-star reviews from tens of thousands of happy customers who diversified their savings with gold and silver. Today, Goldco is offering you up to 8 years in free IRA fees plus 8% instant match in bonus silver with a qualified account. Call 855-815-GOLD for free IRA fees, bonus silver, free gold, and silver info kit. What are you waiting for? Safeguard your money with physical gold and silver before it's too late. That's what I did. Call 855-815-GOLD, 855-815-GOLD. That's 855-815-GOLD.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning.
It tends to make me feel a little bit more intelligent.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 22 minutes past the hour. So I was just watching during the break, and I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. It is so sad the President of the United States looking like a crypt keeper, looking like a corpse. Can't hardly walk. The gait is disturbingly Frankensteinish. You've got Macron, who I don't really care for, but he's, put together and solid and walking right. Biden doesn't know what to do with his hands. He looks like the guy from the Sesame Street up in the balcony. Oh, it's terrible. Absolutely embarrassing. The C-130 flyover was impressive, and I watched the Macrons and the Bidens make their way to the stage at the D-Day ceremonies that are live right now. Reminder, it's 23 minutes past the hour of 7 here. It's 1:23 p.m. in Normandy, France, so they're 6 hours ahead on the clock. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry. It's Joe from Marmora.
Hey, Joe.
Listen, quick question. I'm a baby boomer. I remember the Cold War. And Radio Free Europe was big in those days. They were always advertising support Radio Free Europe. We beam across the Iron Curtain. And I've heard interviews with people that live in Eastern Europe today, and they say that was their lifeline. Do we have anything like Radio Free Europe going now today?
I would say not really. You hear people that use the term and say that they're radio free, this or that in this state or that. I think that generally speaking, people don't feel that there's the need for it because you can broadcast. You can broadcast many different ways, through a podcast, through a terrestrial radio station, and all the different ways. So I would say no to describing something that would be akin to Radio Free Europe, but I am aware, not off the top of my head, but I am aware of a few different broadcasts that use that term still today. Radio Free this or that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I was just going to suggest maybe you could ask that of John Zarek later today. Now that the laptop is written into the court records.
And for those who don't know, not just written into the court records, but written that it is authenticated as Hunter Biden's laptop. Because, he did those interviews when he wrote that beautiful book of his. He was doing interviews saying it might be my laptop. It might not be my laptop. It might be Russian disinformation. It might not be. He thought he was just cute. So no ambiguity. It's authentic. It always was. The FBI has confirmed its authenticity, making Joe Biden the liar that he continues to be, because obviously he maintained 51 experts said that he said 54, but it was 51. He even got that wrong. 51 experts said, or he said 54. 54 experts, have confirmed that it is Russian disinformation. You're lying, he said about Trump. I can't wait till Trump gets to confront him with that in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Do you think it'll ever be available, like, say, on CD or anything like that for the public to go into a record store and say,
hey, listen, I don't have it on me right now, but it is on the Internet. The Hunter Biden laptop, most of it, not all of it, but a lot of it, Miranda Devine had a copy from the New York Post and a few other people. Much of that Hunter Biden laptop you can look at if you want. It's there.
Okay.
You'll see him naked with a gun in his hand, naked, smoking crack. A lot of things you don't want to see, you'll see.
Well, he's got the girl, the Russian girl. She's a Russian because the KGB guy is standing right next to her. She's stark naked. Hunter Biden is stark naked looking at her, and the Russian is fully clothed, and he's got that look like, I am KGB, I will rip your lungs out.
Boris Badenoff.
Oh, he was a nasty, tough-looking guy. So.
Well, it means Hunter was just keeping good company, it seems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I understand. I heard that one spot where he was talking to his wife, and she was saying, "Where are you?" And he says, "I'm waiting for Mickey to show up with the crack." Well, hurry up, I'm waiting. And they're going back and forth to each other, talking like she's waiting for it too.
Terrible. Terrible people.
Harry,
Thank you, my friend. Have a great day. Take care. 609-407-1415 open phone line. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gooch.
Good morning, Harry. Harry, I'm going to go from crackhead to superhero here.
Oh, good transition.
Yes, in keeping with the D-Day theme, we have a local hero here from Atlantic City named Bernie Friedenberg, who served in a lot of the major battles in World War II as a medic. He was mostly with General Patton. He was in Algeria in 1942 with General Patton. He was with the Fighting First in Sicily in 1943. He served on the beach D-Day in 1944 and was also with General Patton in the Battle of the Bulge. He passed away a few years back, and the local organizations, not the least of which was the organization that I represent, the Knights of Columbus, put together a memorial statue that's going to be unveiled today at noon at O'Donnell Park, which is across the street from where you and I had lunch together every day at the site of the old Atlantic City High School.
Truth. By the way, with deep regrets, because I was invited to be the master of ceremonies for today's event, and I would not have missed it, but I was previously committed to Talkers Magazine, so I won't be there. I wanted to be there. We're a contributor to the monument, the Hurley in the Morning charity. My friend Bob Turkavage did a lot of great work on that, and I hear everything, Ken, that you're sharing today, and I really regret not being able to be there because I know it's going to be very, very special.
Well, Harry, I'm going to be there representing the Knights of Columbus, and I will. I'll take up the moniker as always, and I'll represent Hurley in the Morning as well.
You're a good man. I appreciate that. I thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. And like I say, Bernie is a guy you don't hear much about, but here is a true American hero that's going to be memorialized today. And I'm inviting everybody that's listening to be at O'Donnell Park today at noon. The Knights of Columbus are going to be there in full regalia, and everybody else who contributed to the statue will be there. And again, I invite everybody to come and give this man the accolades and the what's the word I'm looking for, Harry?
The remembrance that he deserves.
The remembrance he deserves, yes. And that's us.
Good job, Gooch. Have a great time. It's time well served and time well spent today. Take good care. The phone lines are clear for the first time this hour. It's a miracle. Let's change that. I don't like looking at that Telos V set, computer set that we have when no one's there. 609-407-1450 if you want to get on air. Call me now, and we'll be right back.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you. At 31 minutes past the hour, Harry Hurley, 3 stories that you can follow on the WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. The state of New Jersey must take action now against Atlantic City Mayor Small and his wife. They cannot sit back and do nothing any longer. It's got to be dealt with. Roz from the television show Frasier is the daughter of this Philadelphia Action News legend who passed tragically. Check that out and more.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Humid today. Dew points pushing to 70 or higher, making the air thick and sweaty, and that moisture will help to fuel another round of thunderstorms later on. It'll be spotty this time, not widespread. Best chance of a storm will be midday through the afternoon. High temperature today, 84. Drying out tonight, turning more comfortable, low 67. Tomorrow, partly sunny, breezy, and not as humid, high 83. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
The Council on You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Apply.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
It's the topics that matter to me.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. 34 minutes past the hour. If you're looking at the D-Day coverage and you see some of our Americans who actually blankets all the way up to their chin, I checked. It's 59 degrees right now in Normandy, France. So it is cool. And remember, they're 100 and some years old, a lot of these folks. And the ones that aren't 102 and older are 95, 99. I mean, you think about it. It's 80 years ago today. So you almost have to be at least 97 right now to be a survivor that actually is a veteran of World War II, because some of them lied about their age. They wanted to serve our country so much that they actually put that they were 18, and in many cases, they in some cases, and I think it's probably many, they were 17, and some even younger than that. You couldn't be too young, but people did serve in World War II that were not majority age. So if you see the blankets, it's 59 degrees. It's cool. 609-407-1450. You will be the on-deck caller. Don't go away. You are on the air right now. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Audie Murphy was 16 years old.
There you go.
And by the way, I think the Republican Party should make a deal with Donald Trump. Let DeSantis and Scott run for office and appoint him in charge of the Justice Department when they get in.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Look at what Trump has sacrificed to become president, and now to be the leading candidate to become president again. That's a terrible suggestion. I like all the people you just said, and I want them involved. But President Trump is the standard bearer. He's going to be the nominee. He's going to be the next president. And I don't know of anyone that's ever run for president that has been more targeted by the government in a manner that President Trump has. So that doesn't mean he should.
Agree.
Yeah, he shouldn't step down. They need to be dealt with, and they will be.
Well, then they should, after he becomes president and his tour's over, then appoint him.
Okay, I'm okay with that. He's the kind of guy that wants to be busy. I could see him. We had one president. Why am I forgetting? Was it Chester A. Arthur or Grover Cleveland? One president that I think is Chester Arthur, maybe, who became the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Did you know that?
No, not.
And I was at his grave, and missing from his grave was that he was president of the United States. He considered the most important thing, the greatest thing that he ever did was being the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. We also had John Quincy Adams, who, after serving one term as president, went back to the House of Representatives. Very few presidents really went on to continue in any level of government service after leaving the presidency.
I want to see this. I don't want to see this man in charge of one of those Justice Departments, FBI or something.
Well, keep in mind, he is going to be in charge. He gets to pick who the Attorney General is. He gets to pick who the FBI director is, because that crumb bum is going to get fired on day one. January 20th, there's going to be a new FBI director, and then, of course, all the other things that you're talking about. So it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, he should get one of those posts after he retires from the presidency. He should get one of those posts.
Okay. I get what you're saying. But keep in mind, you can get a lot more done as president than you can as a cabinet secretary or an FBI director or anything like that. But I get what you're saying. But this will all work out. The American people need to make the right choice for the country, and then what's going to unfold thereafter is going to be very, very good. Have a great day, and thanks for calling in. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I would like to ask you a crazy question. It seems to me that the Democrats, with all this business of going after Trump, and it seems like they're poking the bear, meaning they're poking us voters to try to provoke us to do something like January 6th all over again. Am I crazy in thinking like that?
Well, here's what they're doing. There's two ways to look at this. Either you're right or take my more nuanced approach. They want the American people to believe that if you put Trump back in there, you get crazy back. You're going to have another January 6th. So it's slightly modified from what you're saying. They know it's not true, just like they lie about January 6th. Right. They're lying about that there would be another. What I believe is going to happen is the Supreme Court, and it'll be by the end of this month, they're going to make a ruling where I believe hundreds of Americans who have been unlawfully jailed by these criminals are going to be released. Look, there were some crooks. You know, if you broke stuff, if you, assaulted a police officer, Capitol police officer, if you, did certain things, broke, equipment inside the Capitol, there were people that broke laws. But the remarkable thing that they've gotten away with, and the whole thing was a setup. They had Alexandra Pelosi there, Nancy Pelosi's daughter, the filmmaker. They made a movie out of this thing. They had their hearings. Their hearings were garbage. They destroyed evidence after they lost power. They should be arrested, the people that did that. They locked up people that they knew were innocent. And then, look, there are some people that this is where they try to get like a good person by saying, well, you support criminals? You support – look, if you're a criminal, no. But there are many people that had their rights taken away that have been jailed now for years, and the Supreme Court's going to free them.
Well, I hope so. And, Harry, I just want to say I'm really a recent convert to your program. I've been down here in the area for about 10 years, originally from Philly, and I'm really enjoying your program, and just wanted to let you know that, and I love what you're doing. And by the way, I think Howard Taft, or
that is the yes, you are correct.
The Supreme Court as well.
Yes, yeah. That's the one. Thank you for that.
Yeah, Chief Justice.
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you for those very nice words. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You
Harry.
too. Take care. Drive safe. I think I hear that little bit of, I don't know what to call it, ambient noise that tells me that was a call made from an automobile. Just a hunch. So thank you. I think that's Robert, but thank you for the vote of support. Thanks for finding us, and thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Hurley. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Don't forget for 1 minute that many were jailed. Ashley Babbitt was killed.
That's true. And they hid the identity of her killer. There was never any, you think about it, there was never any, the Republicans showed significant remorse, but there was no remorse for her being murdered. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I figured let me slide it in. But I have to ask you a question. Have we had presidents that have had more than 2 terms? This is a setup. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. FDR had more than 2 terms.
Why?
Why? Because there was no term limit when he was president. That's the reason they set the term limit. Also, LBJ could have, if he had run and won, he would have served more than 2 terms. You know the way they work it with the term limit, and you may be going in a different direction, but I still want to say this anyhow. With the 2-term limit, if you serve for, I believe it's more than half of a prior president's term, you can only run one more time. If you serve less than that, for example, LBJ was 100% eligible. He won the next election. So he served from 63 until January 20th of 64 after Kennedy was killed. And then he opted Vietnam and his health. He was in very bad shape. He did not, remember, I will not accept the nomination for president of the United States. But he could have served 2 terms plus the extra. That's pretty much the way it works, Jimmy.
Yeah, so I counted on your answer because I know you know. So basically, if there's extenuating circumstances, sort of. Well, it's my position, dovetailing off one of your previous callers, that what has been done to this man and his family by employees of my government tells me that some congressman ought to start some paperwork at some point in time saying this man deserves a 3rd term.
Well, I'm going to tell you why that's a bad idea. because that would play into the lying left loons who say he'll never leave. He did serve. They did make it very, tough. They kept him under investigation his whole presidency, impeached him twice. They harassed the mess out of him for his whole term, but that wouldn't qualify to get you a third term.
Well, when you line up the lies, when you line them up, they're a mile long. This isn't a small cadre of people, a couple of knuckleheads.
Well, the easiest conversation we can have, Jimmy, everything they do is a lie. Everything they say is a lie. Hillary was calling out, and the rest of the Democrats and the Democrat media, Trump-Russia collusion when it was Hillary and Russia collusion. Everything they do, they accuse you of doing, and then they believe that means that they are not held to account for actually doing what they're accusing you of doing. And I know why you're saying it, but he did serve for the 4 years. They made it very, very unpleasant at every turn. They lied about him. The Mueller thing for 3 years was horrific. And think about how, that affects your presidency. The difference this time is going to be when he wins, he is just going to do whatever he wants. He's never going to have to run for anything ever again. And he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. It's actually going to be terrific.
I hope so.
Yeah, because he won't have to. There'll be no calculation of, well, I can't go this far because I have to run again. Everything they think about Biden, this radical 4 years was with him trying to get a second term. Remember now, he basically promised America that he would only serve one term. He said the Trump presidency was so disruptive. I will restore, faith in America throughout the world, and I will stabilize, all this instability that he has created. And he made it seem like he would only serve one term, that he was a transitional type president. And of course, that was a lie, because everything he says is a lie. He was always going to run for a second term. He just made it, and the reason he did it was he's so objectionable and unacceptable. Remember, he's 1% Joe. He never got more than 1% ever. Plagiarist, liar, loser, terrible. And he gets in there under false pretenses in a zombie pandemic, all vote by mail type election, and then we're stuck with this guy with everything that he's done. I want him to get thrown out of office. And then let's get the country back on track to higher wages, lower interest rates, energy independent, net oil exporter. I mean, we can really get this thing going if the American people do the right thing.
Hey, Harry, just remember, he isn't necessarily wanting to stay. It's the people that are running him that want to stay.
Oh, yeah. Joe Biden wants him to be president more than he wants to be president.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true, too.
I mean, you see her. You see it, Jimmy. You see her in Normandy. It's disgusting. I mean, she thinks she's president. When we come back, you will be the next caller. Don't go away. Wow, it's a shame they won't be able to intimidate the jury today by sitting in there and staring at them. Wow, that's just, guess they had a job to do today. They won't be able to be at the trial. Shame.
Hurley in the morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Let's keep it that way. It is 52 minutes past the hour. Welcome to the Hurley in the Morning program. How are you?
All right. How are you, Harry?
Good. Thanks for asking.
I just wanted to know, I'd like to see Donald Trump do another 4 years.
Oh, me too.
And he's the one that's going to put America back on track.
Sir, yes, sir.
After that, I'd like to see him run for vice president of the United States.
No. He's not eligible to do that. Once you've served 2 terms as president, you cannot run for president and you cannot run for vice president, because if something happened to the president, there's the succession problem there. So that's it. He could be Secretary of State. He could be Secretary of Defense. You know, you could do different things, but he wouldn't be able to be vice president or president.
Well, he'd have to be one of them because he's a workaholic.
Yeah, I always wonder, like I mentioned the 2 times where presidents have gone on to continue, John Quincy Adams, Howard Taft. So you look at these examples where there were people that wanted to keep going. I don't know their circumstances. Trump, though, he loves to work. But it wouldn't necessarily have to be being Secretary of Defense or Secretary of State or something like that. Because keep in mind, once you've been the president, it would be difficult to take a subservient position. And don't forget, the role of former president is very prestigious. It's very powerful.
My second question is, for the veterans that are still alive in New Jersey that were in World War II, why don't they have something at the convention center, like a dinner for them?
Well, that's a great idea, and not a minute too soon, because like I mentioned a little while ago, I don't know if you heard it when I said it, but a 102-year-old World War II veteran, and he died on his way to Normandy to celebrate the 80th anniversary of D-Day. I love what you just said, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to send a text message to Governor Murphy, and I'm going to tell him that you brought that idea up. I think that is a fantastic idea. And
about Chitterelli, too.
Yeah. Well, Chitterelli is a dear friend, but Governor Murphy has the power right now for the next 18 months. So to get something done right now, you want to do it with the people that have the power now. That would be something that would be so earned. It would be beautiful. And again, because anybody that has served in World War II is likely at least 96 to 98 years old and above, because just do the math. If you snuck in there at 16 or 17 or 18, you just keep adding a year to it. My father would be 107. So he's not here. But I love your idea. I'm going to look into it. I wonder how many World War II veterans from New Jersey are alive.
Yeah, and another thing about your father, instead of getting a Bronze Star, he should have at least gotten a silver medal.
Well, let me tell you something. You just said you don't even know what you just did. I spent 2 years of my life. There is, you know me. I do my homework. There is it's called an upgrade. There is an actual form and a process. And I did everything I could. Lautenberg was the senator at the time that I was dealing with, and I was dealing with some other people within the government, and I spent 2 years trying to get my father's Bronze Star medal upgraded to a Silver Star. And this is how it ended. I got I got a letter in the mail from Senator Lautenberg, and it was the same form letter that was the first one that I got 2 years before. I went all the way around the world in a daze and was right back to where I started. And I can't remember ever quitting anything in my life. I had to pause it because it was stressing me out so much. I couldn't stand the bureaucracy and how, and this is I'm not trying to say I'm special, but this is me knowing people, and I couldn't break through. It was terrible. So here's the deal. If Trump wins, I am personally appealing to, because this was before Trump was even in anybody's mind as a possible candidate. So I tried. I spent 2 years of my life, and I mean probably hundreds of hours, and I thought I was going to get there because I thought, wow, this, walking in front of a tank, deactivating mines, blowing up mines. I didn't even mention he got shot multiple times. So he got 2 Purple Hearts, shot that day too, carried someone else that lived that was injured that day. And I thought, this is a Silver Star. But in those days, that was considered Bronze Star, timber. But when you look at it, with a fresh, eye years later, it seemed to me that was at least a silver star, just like you said. And the rest I told you. I got completely just blitzed in terms of the bureaucracy. Never got anywhere with it.
Oh, it's pathetic.
I know. It's terrible. But I'm going to do it again. You just inspired me. And if Trump wins, I am appealing right to the president.
No, he's going to win.
Oh, yeah, he is going to win. He is going to win. He has to win. God is too great. I just can't accept that we would be given Biden, who can't even. You should, if you're watching, he was like a crypt keeper walking to the stage. I mean, we can't have this.
Bill Maher says he's a walking cadabra.
There you go. And that's a Democrat. There's no doubt about it. Thank you for the suggestion. Thank you for the call. Thank you for 2 suggestions. And I will get back to you and see if this is something that Governor Murphy, all he has to do is give it to one of his, underlings to say, hey, this is a great idea. Let's make this happen. And I think it would be wonderful. It'd be a lot of work. And you'd have a lot of special conditions because a lot of these people are, about 100 years old. But I love it.
They're all special.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Thank you. We'll put a ... not a period on this. We'll reconvene, and let's see if we can make it happen. John Zarek is next.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you so very much, and welcome back to the Hurley in the Morning program. It's 5 minutes past the hour. John Zarek is here. John is the official and exclusive lead counsel for criminal defense legal matters for the Hurley in the Morning program, and every Thursday morning in the 8 o'clock hour, a program titled Smart Law with John Zarek is presented and sponsored by the law offices of John Zarek. The law offices of John Zarek, they focus their efforts on criminal defense law. The goal is to provide you and yours with the very best legal defense. Simply call if you're dealing with a certain situation, and you shouldn't even try to figure it out on your own. Give John a call and let him tell you whether you have something to deal with, or if, there's not any issue to worry about at all. He'll be able to tell you. 609-641-2266, 609-641-2266, on the web at johnzarek.com. Counselor, welcome.
Good to be here, Harry.
Good to have you here.
It's a great day.
Yeah, special day.
As always.
Yep.
Every Thursday at 8 o'clock is.
It is. And even on D-Day, June 6, 1944, John.
Yeah. Yeah, a very special day for our family. My father-in-law, Marvin Geyer, from Baltimore, Maryland, was in the 115th Infantry Regiment, and that was combined with the 175th Regiment, with the 116th Infantry Regiment from Virginia. That's the old Stonewall Jackson Brigade. And those three were put together to form the 29th Division. Mm. So, and they had a key role, in fact, maybe the most important role in D-Day. They landed on Omaha Beach. He landed that day. He was a machine gunner with H Company, 2nd Battalion, 115th Infantry Regiment, 29th Division, and landed that day and fought for 3 weeks until he was wounded on the drive for St. Lo. And he was in a trench or a foxhole, and an officer came up, a major came up, and he was directing a tank attack, and he left his foxhole to help the officer direct the tank attack, letting him know where the Germans were last and so forth. And at that time, there was an artillery barrage, and he received a through-and-through wound of his right thigh, as well as other wounds. But that was the life-threatening one. It went through and through. It knocked him to his seat. He wasn't, strangely, people land all kinds of different ways when they're wounded. And he actually got flipped and was sitting down. And he reached and put his hands on his thigh, and his fingers touched. His muscle had become completely loose and no tone, and it had taken a chunk of bone out of his thigh, and so his fingers touched. He could feel his pants filling with blood, and he looked around, and we actually, my family went over with him. Amy was his interpreter. She's fluent in French. Steph too, but they went over and interpreted for him, and he looked around because he said, "This is where I was. I looked around because I wanted to see where I was going to die." I mean, he knew he wouldn't last 2 minutes with a wound like that. So, fortunately, a very brave medic ran up, put a tourniquet on his leg, put him on a stretcher, and got him to a field hospital, then got him to the beach and got him to a hospital ship, and he went to England and spent a year in England.
Wow.
So, no, I'm wrong about that. It was several months in England, and then he spent a year at Staunton, Virginia Army Hospital. And never completely without a limp after that, but he was able to work, and he became eventually a federal meat inspector, and he was just the best guy in the world. He would arrive a half hour early for work every day.
Wow.
Greatest generation. Lay out all his instruments, get a coffee on his time, not on the government's time. And when 8 o'clock came, or whenever the starting time was, he was on the job. So, good guy.
What a great story. In keeping with the greatest generation that saved the world and came home and never talked about it.
Yeah.
I heard a guy today, he was almost 100 years old, and he said, "I did my job, and I came home and I didn't talk about it." That was his exact quote. Yeah. "I did my job."
Yeah. Well, some people, a lot of people were traumatized by the war. And the other thing is everybody was in the war, so it was not big news, so to speak. It was just a routine part of their lives. They didn't really have an understanding. Most of the people that were in the Normandy invasion didn't understand how they fit in, didn't understand. They knew it was a big battle, but they didn't know how things unfolded. They only really started putting it together, 20, 30 years later when they started having reunions, a lot of reunions, and there started to be reminiscences in movies and television, and movies were made, and then they became talkative at that point.
Yeah, a lot never became talkative, John. Some did. A lot didn't. I'll speak for one, my own father. I had one conversation with my father because I asked him to talk about, what was it like. He did tell me how vicious the enemy was. They were really tough, and he was in some bad places. Cebu, Philippines Island. He said the Japanese were extremely brutal. They would just torture and cut Americans, apart. I mean, bad stuff, really bad stuff.
Sure. My dad was wounded. He was a Navy diver hard hat, underwater demolition, the works, pre-invasion demolition, and he was blown up really badly off of Saipan during that operation, and he was in a full body cast for 13 months, and in naval hospitals in San Diego and Philadelphia Naval Hospital until that was in 44. He was in the hospital until 47.
Wow.
So not that it ever slowed him down,
Kirk Conover has an amazing story about his father, who was a POW, and years. I forget how many years, but it was more than a couple, I think. You just think about that, like losing 2, 3, or more years of your life. It's just incredible.
Yeah. They were years they couldn't get back, but it didn't. So many. Now, some people were traumatized, and we would refer to those people if they were acting different as they were in the war. That was the explanation.
Yeah. Or they were called shell-shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no consideration about PTSD and, how very, very real, that level of trauma can be. You just were pretty much told, shut up and suck it up. I often have been critical of the fact that we were phenomenal about training our military, and they were very young for the most part, as you know, but we were terrible with what I call the exit interview. You would leave, and they didn't do anything to do, what should be done in terms of giving you a soft landing back into society and whatnot. Terrible on the exit interview, phenomenal on the training. 16 minutes past the hour, back with John right after this. Don't go away. It is Smart Law with John Zarek. This portion of our program also brought to us in part by Congress Hall. We've been talking about presidents and a bunch of things today, and these are people that have been to Congress Hall over 200 years. Musicians, artists, dignitaries, many esteemed guests for more than 200 years, and your company is always requested at Congress Hall, which stands alone in Cape May, New Jersey, an icon of elegance and relaxed and warm hospitality, where they've welcomed generations of travelers since 1816. Classic American charm that you will feel, I promise you, from the moment you walk through the door. The marble-floored lobby, the American flags that line the history hallway, spacious ocean view guest rooms and suites. An overnight stay at Congress Hall feels like you're stepping into your own little cottage by the sea. They pair it with great amenities, world-class resort happenings, healthy indulgences at Congress Hall Sea Spa, hearty farm-fresh favorites at the Blue Pig Tavern, cocktails at the Brown Room Lounge, and then down in the basement, the Boiler Room. Fabulous. Pizza on the brick oven, DJs, dancing, other food and beverage items. Love the meatballs, the shrimp. It's just fantastic in the Boiler Room. Congress Hall, in short, has it all. And it's the time to book right now before we get to the busiest of the summer season. You can book your stay right now at caperesorts.com/Congress Hall. Congress Hall is America's first seaside resort. That's literally a fact. It's a pretty amazing stat. And it's really just a short drive away next door. We'll be back with John right after this.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine.
Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. We continue with John Zarek, Smart Law with John Zarek. During the break, it was just a short break, about 3.5 minutes. I was watching the live D-Day ceremony, and this wonderfully articulate woman military member was doing this. She's still doing it, this amazing speech about soldiers and Marines and sailors and airmen and coasties, and she was just going on and on about they stood the watch, and it was actually giving me chills, John. Wow.
Yeah. If a country doesn't value their soldiers and sailors and other military personnel, airmen, Coast Guard, special operations units, if they don't value that, if they don't value bravery and hard work and determination and willingness to take risk, they won't be around. They won't be around in the long run. That's why we're here, because we have people that would step up when it was time to step up. And we still have those people. I mean, there are lots of people in the country, politicians and otherwise, who tear down the military, tear down the police, tear down the people on whose efforts we exist. If we don't have those people, the bad people will come and kill us and take what we have, and that's not speculation. I mean, that is the lesson of history.
John, let me ask you a question and get your take on it. I have my own views on this, and I've spoken about it over the years. What are your feelings relative to why we have Americans who are buried abroad and we don't bring them back home? We bury them basically on the battlefield where they fought. Is that, and I'm not judging it, it's a question, is it the right thing to do? Should they have been brought home? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, my understanding, Harry, is that they can be brought home. But most people, if it's an epic situation like World War II, like Normandy, the families believe that they would want to be there with their comrades. I've been to the Colville Cemetery, which overlooks Omaha Beach. It's at the top of a cliff, and it overlooks Omaha Beach. It's the most beautiful place you can imagine. Tragic, of course, with all the white crosses and other symbols, but the idea is that people want to be there.
It is profound. I mean, the color actually, even, this might sound a little macabre to some, but it's right down to the color of those crosses is called bone white.
Yep.
All of it.
Yep.
So I agree with what you're saying. I'm sure there have been instances, though, where there were people brought back home, though, by request, correct? And maybe they're at Arlington or wherever they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the people, the families, they could opt to bring people home, but I think the general feeling, at least among the 29th Division people that I've known, I mean, I've been to numerous 29th Division Association. That's my father's unit that was the spearhead of D-Day on Omaha Beach. Numerous, reunions I've been to, and they really are proud that their guys are there with their buddies.
Let me ask you your take on this. I'm going to feather two things in for you to comment on. I believe that by today's standards, and I'm not applauding this at all, what I'm about to say, this mission would be so criticized about how many people were killed, because if you were there on D-Day and you stormed that beach and you were making your way up those cliffs, you were basically, the first early waves got absolutely demolished. And I'm sure that would be very criticized. I don't think, my second little parlay wager here is, we wouldn't have gone to the moon by today's standards, with in terms of what they call acceptable risk. Do you buy into what I'm saying?
I do. As they say, war is hell, and when people go to war, there are going to be people who are killed and people that are wounded and missing. And so it's
because you had the enemy, they were just perched, in perfect position, and they were just mowing down people. Yeah,
they were. The 116th Infantry Division really got it badly, especially, 116th Infantry Regiment really got it badly. And, they landed at the wrong place, and that was common because it was bad weather. It was very easy to get off course, and so they ran into a very well entrenched and well armed German regiment, and in certain companies, very few people survived. So very, very difficult. But they didn't stop. They went ahead. And interestingly, my father-in-law was wounded 3 weeks into it, and that was a long time, because it wasn't over when they landed after they got off the beach. Germans were well entrenched. They were fighting for their lives, and they had perfect defensive positions, high ground typically. Mm-hmm. And the Americans had to attack. The orders were to attack, not wait around until conditions improve in a few weeks. They had to attack, and when you attack into an entrenched position, you're going to lose a lot of people. And they did, in fact, lose a lot of people. The American Army, the 29th Division, had 200% casualties.
Jeez.
So you would say, how do you have
more than
100% casualties? Well, everyone gets killed in the first group, and then the replacements come in, and then all of them get killed or wounded. Now, that's on average. Now, there were some people that made it all the way to Germany and the end of the war. But then there were other units that lost, had 400% casualties. So that is, they got wounded, the replacements got wounded, the next replacements got wounded, and the next replacements got wounded. And then there were some units that got through pretty clean with very, very few casualties. So, but on average, the 29th Division lost 200%.
My God.
Of the people that hit the beach.
Let that sink in as we go to our halftime break. We're going to come right back. John, profound presentation that you've made here this morning. We'll continue Smart Law with John Zarek right after this. Don't go away. It's 30 minutes past the hour.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you, with John Zarek. I am Hurley in the morning. 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. 2 important Atlantic City stories. Check them out. We are calling for the state of New Jersey to take action now. There are so many reasons that we lay out, including New York casinos are right around the corner. Atlantic City has to be ready. We also wrote a piece that I think a lot of people may have known about, but a lot of people might not know about. And that TV show Frasier, Roz, the character, is the daughter.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our overnight round of rain is out of here, but we're not quite done with stormy weather today. Looks like spotty thunderstorms will redevelop from midday through this afternoon. Could be some localized downpours and gusty winds, so please stay weather aware today. Mostly cloudy, warm, and very humid otherwise, high 84. Drying out tonight, low 67. Tomorrow, not as humid. Partly sunny and breezy, high 83. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
Honesty and transparency, is not afraid to get down and dirty and really just tell me the truth.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We are back just about 34 minutes past the hour. John Zarek, Smart Law with John Zarek continues. Counselor, time is yours.
Yes, Harry. One thing I wanted to mention about the D-Day, Bernie Friedenberg D-Day Memorial, which is a tremendous accomplishment.
It is.
And it only could have been done with the work of a real patriot, Bob Turkavage, our mutual friend. Bob worked endlessly on that project.
For 5 years, John. 5 years.
5 years. He raised at least 90% of the money that was raised, I think. I apologize if that is a little off, but I think I'm accurate on that. And the way he did it retail. He went out because he and his wife Sally and Linda and I are good personal friends, and we go out to dinner from time to time, and a number of times I would call him and say, hey, you want to meet at Andre's, or do you want to meet at Doc's or something like that? He'd say, I'm sorry, I've got to go out and raise money. And he would go stand in front of Canal's liquor store or a supermarket or whatever, and one-on-one get donations. And he did that, for all those years.
Yep. And
never quit. And I can't tell you how many times we've called and he was out. He was out on the street. Stay there till 8, 9 o'clock at night, maybe later. And what a tremendous accomplishment. He's a great guy. He's as some of the people might remember, he was a candidate for Congress at one point. Mm-hmm. And also he was a supervisor in the white collar crimes section of the, I think he was the supervisor.
He was.
Of the white collar crime section of the Southern District of New York with the FBI. So there's no busier place and no more important position with regard to white collar crime than that. And he's retired now, and he's a great guy. And he had really a fantastic career, and does a lot of great stuff. I mean, if you go to Brigantine St. Thomas Church, the 4:00 Mass, he and his wife sing in the choir there. They volunteer to transport elderly Brigantine residents to various places they have to go. He just doesn't quit. So that was a task that deserved all the praise in the world. I mean, for years and years, and he wouldn't quit. And it was difficult. Sometimes it looked doubtful, but he just didn't quit. So I'm privileged to have him as a friend, and him and Sally. They're just the best people.
John, this is a beautiful comment that you're making, and it inspires me to just add on. And we did talk about this with Ken Catunia from Ventnor in the last hour. I'm very familiar with this project for a lot of reasons. Number one, because Bob was behind it. We got involved very early and made a contribution from the Hurley in the Morning charity. And today is the day. And I so regret, because I was actually asked by Bob to be the master of ceremonies at today's event. And I never say no to something like this, but I was already previously obligated to the Talkers Conference, so I'm not going to be here. today at 12 noon, which really bothers me to no end. It's just one of those things in life where you have two, commitments, and you can only pick one. And I had already been obligated to talkers, more than a year ago. So today at 12 noon at O'Donnell Park in Atlantic City, and I don't think the rain is going to be a problem in terms of making it have to be rescheduled, but the rain date would be June 8th if for some reason, and I won't be here to tell you that, so I'll tell you now, and this is the unveiling and the unveiling ceremony of the Bernie Friedenberg World War II Memorial. It is a beautiful, beautiful sculpture. It is just incredible. John, we'll break, and then guess what? When we come back, we will be uninterrupted the rest of the way, which I look forward to. Back with John Zarek right after this. Your topics, John, today are just so important. Much more with John Zarek after this.
Hurley in the morning.
It's breaking news that I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Welcome back. Hurley in the morning. John Zarek. Smart Law with John Zarek at 42 minutes past the hour. Counselor, let it rip. But by the way, John, I want to say this on air. That was such a deserving shout out that you gave to Bob Turkavage, because he is such a beautiful, humble man. He would never, ever say, hey, look what I did for the last 5 years. Oh, my God, look at me, look at me. That was so earned, what you said.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I knew what he did was I would, make contact with him and Sally and say...
You learned it in real time.
Yeah, in real time. And, he'd be... I'd be thinking about, maybe meeting for a snack or dinner or something, and he's out in front of Canal's liquor store in the cold, getting donations, and it was typically a little bit at a time. I mean, he really, there are people like that's the guys like him are what make the country great,
Yep. They just, all they do is they do the right thing. They do the hard work. They don't want any credit for it at all. And it makes me want to give them more credit. Yeah,
for sure. So he's just that kind of guy, great guy. And, there are, all of us have, a debt to pay to him and many people like him. They're just people that do the responsible, hard, difficult, challenging things that need to be done day in and day out. And they do it all their lives. They do it all their lives. And they're the people that keep us in one piece.
Yeah.
And typically they're people with principle too. They're not going to take credit for something that they didn't do. They're not going to, back off on the job, because it's raining, it's snowing, whatever. He had all the opportunity not to do that job. He's not running for office. He's not trying to be famous. He's retired and secure, but he's out. He was out doing it, and I'll tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, go ahead. Then I have a quick follow-up.
This job is done. I'll bet within a couple months, I'll talk to Bob, and he'll have another project that is, an uphill battle all the way, just because that's the kind of guy he is.
What I love about this, too, though, John, is, and it needs to be properly maintained over time because it's beautiful. Anybody that's going today, when you see how gorgeous this is with the flags and the beautiful garden, the circular construction, the monument itself, And it's perfect too, because he's attending to an injured soldier. This will cause people to remember someone who deserves this very, very much. And it shows you how when the right people get together and they're willing to put the time in and do the work, that you can do great things, because now this exists, and it would not have otherwise, John.
Yeah. And people have to do things like that. It's very important that we honor people who have sacrificed, who have put their lives at risk, who have been under fire. It's very important that we honor those people, because that honor, even now, serves as motivation for people now to do the same.
Yeah.
And we need people to do the same. I was very fortunate. General McChrystal at the time was, he was a brigadier. He was the operations officer of the 82nd Airborne. And we were in Virginia for a reunion, Pop and I, and of course, all the other 29th Division guys. And by the way, Pop made everyone in our family a 29th Division Association member.
Very nice.
Right? And paid life dues ahead of time.
I love it.
So my job was, I attended many of those events, and my job was to help the guys that couldn't get around. I was the young guy, and there were a lot of guys in wheelchairs, a lot of guys needed assistance walking and so forth, and so we attended that, and I'll remember this for the rest of my days, of course, and you will too. And I tell you, General McChrystal gave the speech at dinner. At the now this is the entire 29th Division Association, and General McChrystal gave the speech at dinner, and he said, "I want to tell you what you've done. Not only what you've done physically, but in terms of your impact on the country, and especially on the military, this is what you've done. My guys jump out of planes, which is a dangerous proposition in peacetime, let alone wartime." And he said, when those young troopers are standing in the door and they are absolutely petrified of jumping, and this is what happens. They think of you and what you did on D-Day, and they jump.
Wow. Wow.
And that was, I have tears in my eyes remembering that. But he said, so you did a service in combat, but you also did a continuing service to the country by inspiring others who are prepared to step up and defend the country. So
powerful, John.
Yeah. And I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to witness so much of that. I married the right person. I married Linda and inherited Pop and so many of the 29ers. So
you married up. You married well.
I did, way over my head.
Wow.
So it's important, and this is going on today. Russia. Right now, this is the people who know. Russia is. They are going on a war footing. Now, they don't have much of an economy, so them going on a war footing and giving 40% of their capacity to weapons and military support is not as big a deal as if it were the United States or other countries, but they're going ahead. if Putin loses the war, he's dead. Absolutely, he'll be dead. He'll be dead and gone. So he has to keep the war going, and he has to keep fighting. But as time goes on, things are turning against him more and more and more.
Oh, there's no doubt. And check this out, John. I know you're on top of this. I don't know how many of our listeners are, though. Ukraine has used U.S. weapons to strike inside Russia. So to me, this is a big deal. And this takes American support to a new level. This is just in the last, very recent days. It's been confirmed by Senator Mike Rounds. It's been confirmed by other officials who are not authorized to comment publicly. This Admiral Kirby, who I hold in contempt, he said he could not confirm that Ukraine had used U.S. weapons against targets in Russia. He had some gobbledygook thing like we're just not in a position on a day-to-day basis of knowing exactly what Ukrainians are firing at what. It's certainly at a tactical level. He knows it. He knows they're doing it too, but they're trying to have their cake and eat it too and act like, hey, Russia, don't get mad at us. We're not going to let them use anything inside Russia. This is always going to be outside Russia. But, John, I think this is a big deal that they're striking inside Russia, and they struck inside Russia with U.S. weapons. Your comment to that?
Yeah, I know that they have.
Yeah.
It's not a speculation. I know that they have. And the Russian army was gathering in Belgorod. I mean, there's only 10 miles between Kharkiv, which is the second largest city in Ukraine, and Belgorod in Russia, very close together, and the borders in between. And up to now, the Russian army could, form up on the Russian side of the border, and Ukrainians had some weapons they could use, but the basic stuff they have, they couldn't shoot and attack that Russian army before they crossed the border. And of course, it's the same old story. These policies cost thousands of lives.
John, what does it mean in your estimation when the philosophy before was, Ukraine wants to just stop Russia from coming into Ukraine, very reasonable, to they still want that, but also that they are now hitting Russia with strikes inside Russia. That is next level stuff.
It is. It's a natural progression from if someone's they're still trying to keep them from coming into Ukraine. They have no illusions about taking Moscow or taking Petersburg or anything like that. They just want them out of the country. So if 1,000 Russian soldiers congregate in the area of Belgorod or between Belgorod and the Ukrainian border, before they couldn't hit those soldiers, and now they can. And England led the way on that. They said, you can use anything we give you any place. France led the way, along with England, same thing. Other countries, it was the same way with other countries, including Germany, who was very conservative. And now the United States has just gone along. I mean, you can't fight a war if, as soon as as soon as someone crosses the border, you can't shoot at them anymore.
Exactly. And that's why I want this mealy-mouth American policy to stop. I mean, we should make it clear that unconditionally, we support Ukraine. Not this, hey, we support them, but hey, Vladimir, don't worry, they can't use anything. You won't see any American fingerprints in Russia. This is just helping them in Ukraine. I'm sick of these weaklings, John.
Yeah, it reminded me of when Putin was ravaging other places in Europe, Ukraine, when they invaded Ukraine and invaded large areas of Ukraine, the Crimea, for example, Donetsk, Luhansk, and they're killing people, and plainly they were Russian weapons. They invaded before that, just before Obama, they invaded Georgia, and they still occupy a large chunk of the northern part of Georgia. And how tough were we? We were so tough that Obama was overheard on the mic talking to, I think, maybe Medvedev at that point.
Oh, yeah, it was Dmitry Medvedev. They were knee to knee, sitting very close. Hot mic caught Obama saying that he would have more flexibility after his election. And Medvedev said, I will transmit to Vladimir. That was when they faked out, the whole world that Putin was not in charge, that he was term limited out. And they just swapped posts where Putin became prime minister and Medvedev became the president. And then, of course, the next election cycle, he took it right back. And even then, when he was the prime minister, he was subservient to Vladimir because he said it. I mean, it was picked up. He was admitting. Why would the president have to transmit to Vladimir? He's the president. No, he's not. So the whole thing's a scam.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just ongoing weakness.
Yep.
He wanted to be pals with Putin.
Yep.
And, of course, Putin made a fool of him. And he's so much responsible for so much of the trouble in the country today. It was really a disastrous administration with regard to foreign policy.
Hey, John, let me do this. We have a minute. I want to set the stage. This has been Smart Law with John Zarek, presented, sponsored by the law offices of John Zarek. We're going to transition. It's still going to be a Smart John Zarek. My first question when we come back, John, and then we'll have the whole hour until Kilmeade, hour plus. And if there's any more of this you want to talk about, we can. But we had a definitive interview with Curtis Bashaw yesterday. He accomplished something that I believe is extraordinary. Number one, for a southernmost Southern New Jersey candidate to win a statewide Republican nomination, it's almost unheard of. I'm only aware of one other time that it happened, and the Republican nominee for governor just got wiped out. But this is very rarefied, what Curtis accomplished. And he had the unfortunate event. It shows you the law of unintended consequences. Some bad actor got into President Trump's ear and said, hey, Curtis Bashaw supported Chris Christie, contributed to him, endorsed Glasner. So he went and did it at the Wildwood rally. Had there not been a Wildwood rally, President Trump even said, I was there. I heard him say it. He goes, I wasn't going to get involved. I had no intentions of getting involved. Curtis even overcame, and he's the only one that President Trump has endorsed this election cycle, or rather she is, the only one that did not win. Curtis even overcame that. That's the topic next.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. This winds up being a bit of a bonus hour because Deborah Heart and Lung Center was set to do, this is their regular appointment date. And we found out in time, I mean, no issue at all. We're going to do it next week with Deborah. The doctor was going to be in surgery. So this is great that we have this bonus time. I'm going to do the first topic with John. He'll pick the next topic, and we'll just have a great, fun hour together. John, my topic is Curtis Bashaw winning statewide. Very, very difficult for someone in southernmost Southern New Jersey to win a statewide election. It's an incredible accomplishment. And this is teed up right now because Senator Menendez, the incumbent, is running as an independent. So he is going to, I don't know what the percentage he's going to get will be, but he's going to get some votes. And every vote he gets would have been a vote for Andy Kim. Curtis Bashaw is very likely going to be the next United States Senator for New Jersey, and that would break a string of more than 50 years. I'm not counting, and he's a friend, and he was great, and I love him. When Jeff Chiesa got appointed for a hot minute by Governor Christie, and when Nicholas Brady was appointed by President Reagan during the AFSCAM days, and I know you remember, John, I don't count that. No Republican has won a Senate seat in more than 50 years. Curtis Bashaw has really accomplished something here, John.
Yeah, and some.
Yeah.
Quite, pretty spectacular, but not something that is completely unexpected when you're dealing with a guy like Curtis.
But I will tell you what is a little unexpected, though. A President Trump endorsement in the Republican primary of any state has been not gold, it's been like palladium. I mean, it's been almost automatic. Curtis had to overcome that as well, John.
Yeah. But, not completely unexpected. Unexpected, but not completely, yes, because he's a very, very capable guy.
Well, you know what he did, John? He put 60,000 miles on his beat-up car now, and he took his message everywhere, and he earned the endorsement of 16 out of 21 counties. And I'll tell you what, the Democrats foolishly, because Andy Kim is a clown, it was very stupid what he did. The power of that line cannot be overstated, and I know, John, you know this process. Yeah.
I think, I say Curtis. I call Curtis because you and I both know him, and he's just an impressive guy. I mean, he's just if you look at any property or business that he owns, everything's perfect. The people are friendly and helpful and energetic. I mean, they know what you need before you ask. They're bright. They're engaging. It's not like you have to beg anyone to do anything. If you go, for example, to Congress Hall, they're looking for you. They're looking for what you need next. In fact, they might know what you need next.
Oh, yeah, they don't want you to touch a bag. They want to take care of everything. The food is perfect, the beverage, the accommodations, as you mentioned, the staffing. I mean, we love the, and by the way, no small point here, Curtis has created thousands of jobs over his career. And in this day and age, that's a really big deal. There is somebody that would be going into government that, this cliche of signing the front of a check and not the back of a check. Our Congresses are littered with people that have either lived off the government their entire lives, certainly never signed the front of a check like John Zarek or Curtis Bashaw. So he's got that going for him too, John.
Yeah, he understands what it takes. I mean, to run a business, it's you need to worry about finances, you need to worry about marketing, you need to worry about advertising, you need to worry about public relations, you need to worry about hiring, management, goal setting, the works, and plenty more. And you have to have the attention to detail, and it's easy to not pay attention to detail because it's hard work. And you certainly can't do it 9 to 5. That's for sure. So you need someone, and that's the kind of person you need in the Senate or in the governor's chair or as president. You need someone who is not looking to be a 9 to 5 person. It doesn't work. I mean, I don't blame people for being 9 to 5. I wish I could be that way, it would be nice, but and most people are working 9 to 5, but for those special positions that require more or less around the clock work and availability, you have to have that type of person in that position. So he's perfect. I mean, he's not going to have to retrain himself to get up early in the morning and to work late at night and to work on weekends and, to juggle 8 tasks at once. He's not going to have to train himself to do that. He's already doing it. So he could walk into the Senate or, the Congress, the governor's chair, anything, and he wouldn't miss a beat.
It's true. I totally agree with you. And in fact, we discussed that yesterday, how uniquely qualified that we believe he is. I could not agree more with what you just said, John. And he is, it's like a Vince Palestina type thing. Vince, highly successful, didn't need it, wanted to get things done, did it all for the right reasons. Curtis needs this like a hole in the head, John. He doesn't need this. He wants to serve. He believes that our country is at a critical tipping point and that we have a lot of work that has to be done in order to fix it, and that currently it's in the hands of people that are not doing the right things to put our country in the strongest position. I mean, it shows you how the corny cliche elections have consequences really means what it says. 3.5 years ago, John, people were not living paycheck to paycheck. We were energy independent. We were a net oil exporter. We had zero inflation, $2 a gallon gasoline, net oil exporter. I mean, we were cooking. Now look, John.
Yeah. Destroyed.
Yes.
Destroyed. Yeah. And I don't mean impaired. I mean destroyed.
Yeah, in 3.5 years.
The country is staggering right now. Staggering. Domestically and internationally. Right? I mean, look at what Biden and Jake Sullivan are doing, his national security advisor.
Horrible.
They're stumbling on. And look at what's coming up. June 15th, 16th. There's an international peace conference. Everybody's going to that. All the leaders are going, except Joe Biden.
There you go.
He's sending Kamala.
Oh, please. John, for first break, God help us on that one. If there's more on that, John, either way, the time is yours. We'll be back, and you can finish this segment out, and then you pick the next topic, and we'll keep rolling all the way to Brian Kilmeade, and then we'll let you know by late tomorrow, if not over the weekend, certainly back here on Monday morning, what all has taken place at the National Talkers Magazine annual conference. It is literally going to be a who's who. The people that you listen to on this station, Sean Hannity, Joe Pags, Bill O'Reilly. I mean, it's going to be an absolute amazing full day of important sessions. I have been honored to have 3 major speaking roles at the conference, really much to my almost shock and delight. I will be moderating a 35-minute session about artificial intelligence. It's going to be amazing because of the panel. I'll just be asking them questions. So I've been selected to be the moderator of the session. I will then make the presentation to the Broadcasters Foundation of America during lunch, and then I was selected to be the Master of Ceremonies in the closing ceremony of the event. So quite a day that we're going to have tomorrow at Hofstra University. We'll tell you more about it. Back with John. It's bonus John Zarek on the Hurley in the Morning program, and that's a good thing.
Hurley in the morning.
They really do separate fact from fiction.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
We need to just listen to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
John Zarek, anything more on Curtis Bashaw for the United States Senate for New Jersey?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Curtis being a United States Senator and doing a great job, as he does with everything else he does.
Yeah, he's going to win. He's going to win. He's going to have a 6-year term. And what I've been saying about the position for my entire this July 1st, 32 years here on air, is that we elect them from New Jersey, and then our senators pretty much just leave. They become Washington swamp rats or swamp creatures, whatever you want to call them. I believe Curtis will do all the things you have to do, the voting sessions and everything you're very familiar with, John. You've run in this crowd. You could be in Congress. But Curtis is going to remember home base. See, I always feel that Vandrew still, I understand that people's house is closer to the people and it's supposed to be that way, and the Senate is the deliberative body. I get all the, the language, but I want to have a United States Senator who doesn't forget about our state.
Sure. And he won't.
He won't.
He'll be here. He'll be very inspirational. He'll treat us the way he treats the people that he works with and for, which is always engaged, always looking to encourage, always looking for where there can be an improvement, where he can pitch in more. He's every once in a while you go along in political life or political observation, as it may be, and you see, you can get things get a little routine, and you can get a little cynical. And then a guy like him comes along.
Exactly.
Then, everything changes. You just, it's going to be a good number of years of watching a great guy do a great job for the state and for the nation.
Well said, John. And here's the other fun fact. Being the Republican nominee for 50 years has always meant, hey, you won your primary and you're going to lose in a couple months. Curtis is actually going to win.
Yeah, he is. And
literally for most of our life, John, you're a little younger than me, but for most of our life, we have seen the Republican nominee automatically just punch the time card, lose. Yes, slaughtered every single time, and this is not going to be that. I can't wait.
Not at all. Yeah, he's going to be really, really a special guy. He is a special guy, and he's going to do a fantastic job. And I think he's going to have immediate national impact.
Yeah,
some people cruise along and never really have a national impact. They're in the Senate 20 years. You don't even know who they are. You never hear their name, but not him. He's gonna.
Well, he wants to be part of the solution, so he's not going there to mark time. He's not going there to get along with the good old boys network. He's not looking, to go there to make it the next 30 years of his life. So you're right. He's definitely going to be heard from.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure when it's appropriate, in the way that's going to be most effective for Curtis and for President Trump, I'm sure President Trump is going to be supporting him.
Oh, yeah.
How he goes about doing that, whether it's going to be a flat-out announcement, whether it's going to be under the radar, or both, a combination of both. He's going to support him because he's the same type of guy.
Oh, yeah. Look, I know what happened. I'm not saying, but I even know the person who did it. A troublemaker at the rally got into President Trump's ear President Trump told the crowd, I wasn't going to get involved, I wasn't going to endorse, and then he went and he did it. He endorsed the wrong person, and he was poorly served. I don't even blame the president. I know how this went down, and Curtis won, and he won in spite of all of that. Impressively, very comfortable 7-point win. Had he gotten the endorsement, or there had been no endorsement, he would have won by 20-some points, I believe, because that Trump endorsement is powerful, as you know, and it's the only time that it didn't work. And it didn't work because Curtis is a very unique and special candidate that did as you would say, John Zarek, did the work. He went to every inch of this state, the most densely populated state in America. And as I mentioned earlier, he won 16 county endorsements. That gave him the line. I think there was a few of them where you don't get the line, but he still won them. And he won 14 out of 21 counties, John. The Southern County boy won 14 out of 21 counties. It was a great victory.
Yeah, really. All
right, so let me give you another topic. That was my topic. What do you have?
No, I'll run with you, Harry. You're doing a great job. I like the way you handle yourself.
Oh, why, thank you, Counselor. All right, then let's continue. President Trump
I couldn't resist.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I also appreciate you didn't laugh, you didn't react when I said that you are younger than I. You just went with that. So here's my next topic then, Counselor, our next topic. This was another everything has gone Trump's way on this lawfare crap that's been going on, obviously except for the Manhattan case, which was we've talked about that at length, which was an abomination to the rule of law, everything. Georgia Appellate Court has indefinitely postponed that case. And in fact, Fani Willis finds herself now under basically investigation, if you will, whether she can even stay on the case. This doesn't even have a court date that could happen before March of 2025. So that's out of play. Jack Smith got beat down. One of his cases is a zombie case. It's dead. Another one is completely postponed. Let's see. There was one other one that I'm forgetting, and that also is postponed. So it really looks like, John, the goofy records-keeping zombie reignited with a federal elections charge Frankenstein case in that awful Mershon courtroom is the only case that will happen before November 5th. And I think that's a really big deal, John.
Sure. Well, Harry, every now and then a situation comes along, and you might not know exactly how or exactly when, but you know a guy's going to get whacked, right? like Prigozhin,
yeah,
right? You knew, the whole world knew he was going to get it, and sure enough, that's the way it went down. Didn't take too long either. So I am quite sure that that Bragg and his crew and the supporters and the instigators of this are going to get whacked. And I can't tell you exactly how it's going to happen, but for sure it's going to happen.
Remember, John, how you and you went to the courtroom, so you have more cred on this than I do, but as someone who didn't go to the actual courtroom, I followed it probably closer than anybody other than John Zarek, because you were in the courtroom. We both agreed that the prosecutor and the mayor that thought they were, it's like that James Cagney movie, Ma, I made it, top of the world, Ma, and then whoosh, the whole thing explodes. We both agreed that both of them, I think one of them was Mosby or Mosley, and I forget the other one's name, that the future that they thought was so bright was going to be literally just the opposite, And, John, I'm talking about Baltimore, as you know, and how they falsely charged cops with bad stuff that they didn't do. They all won. The people that thought they had all the power lost. And that's how this is going to end with this stuff. Same way, John.
Well, Harry, I've been, I went to University of Maryland Law School. I've been back there several times. I've talked with Senator Ben Cardin a number of times in person with regard to the Ukraine situation. So I've had a lot of contact with Baltimore and Maryland. And so I know the latest. And the simple fact is she just got convicted.
Yep.
Mosby. She just got convicted on felony counts. She's headed to jail.
Yeah.
She just got convicted for fraud. I mean, when someone looks at the law and looks at the facts, and it's plain to everyone that no crime was committed, even the video, no crime was committed, and then they go ahead and indict and prosecute and basically swear that a crime has been committed that wasn't.
Terrible.
You know that this person will do anything.
And remember, John, the first cop was acquitted, and you would thought that it was such a smackdown that they would have ended it. You would remember this better than I. But it took another couple of trials, I think, and then they finally quit on, I think it was 7. They quit after the third one or something like that. These were despicable people, John.
Yeah. My friend Joe Murtha was
there you go.
Sergeant Porter's, and I know him personally for quite a while.
We're talking real deal right there.
Yeah, he was Sergeant Porter's defense attorney. And, we followed that on this show.
We did.
From day one. And on day one, it was very easy to see that she was going to go down, not him. These guys were going to be acquitted. One tip-off was one career detective who had hired to go in the department quit because she would not sign the charges.
John, do me a favor. Hold on so we can take the halftime break and be right on schedule. We're going to be right back. That time is yours to continue that. My next topic, John, is Hunter Biden. I'm not usually Machiavellian. I'm usually very straightforward, but I have a Machiavellian suggestion or thought about Hunter Biden that I'm pretty committed to, but I'm persuadable. If you uncommit me, I'm persuadable. I'm teasing now, but we'll be very unambiguous about it coming up next as we continue our discussion with John Zarek on the Hurley in the Morning program. I think this qualifies as smart law. I think it does.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Makes me think about things a little bit differently.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5, and the WPG Talk Radio app. Apply. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Brigantine,
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
38 minutes past the hour, Hurley in the Morning with John Zarek, counselor extraordinaire, official lead counsel for the Hurley in the Morning program for criminal defense legal matters. John, I want to let you finish what you were talking about right before the break, and then I will bring my Machiavellian strategy into play to see what because I'm just a layperson. You're actually an officer of the court. I want to see what you think about what I'm going to say next on Hunter Biden. But time is yours, John.
Yeah, I want the strategy, Harry.
All right, then here we go. You made my day. Here's the strategy. And this is, you know me, John, for a long time. This is not usually the way I am, but I've had enough of this stuff. Here's my feeling. Obviously, the case that the Biden Justice Department has. People lose sight of the fact this is the Biden Justice Department that has brought these David Weiss, special counsel, former U.S. attorney from Delaware. John knows the whole story, but I want our audience to be up to speed on it. They were going to let the whole thing go, and we know that whole thing. And fortunately, Judge Noriega would not allow a completely ridiculous agreement. Actually, it had even future amnesty for Hunter. I mean, it was the most amazing joke I ever saw. So that got knocked out, and they couldn't work out a plea deal. And so here we are. And the prosecution may end their case as early as today. This is not going to go, it looks like, a full 2 weeks or anything even close to that. And we'll see what kind of case Abby Lowell puts on starting maybe tomorrow, or if the government isn't on by Monday, he'll have the case for sure. But I think he's going to have the case by the end of today. So here's my theory. The goods are there. They've got the laptop. The FBI, funny, because they now confirm the authenticity of Hunter's infamous laptop that was put in dispute at the time of the 2020 election, even though the same FBI knew then that it was not Russian disinformation, that it was, in fact, authentic. I don't have time for that, but that burns me too. So my theory is this. We know Trump is convicted of these 34 counts. If Hunter Biden is convicted in Delaware, then the storyline is Lady Justice is blind, the system worked, Trump got convicted last week, the president's son got convicted this week, and I don't like the optics of all that. I want Hunter Biden, and I want to wash my mouth out with soap because I'm not proud of what I'm about to say, but I'm already on the record, and I'm sticking to it. Unless you convince me how wrong I am. I am persuadable, I said. But I want I want jury nullification. I want it to be apparent that he was guilty, and yet he didn't get convicted. I'll take a hung jury, but I want a not guilty verdict in particular, because then the optic is Trump gets crushed in New York City, and they jurisdiction shopped and they judge shopped. They didn't spin the wheel. They just put this guy in the judge's chair. The whole thing was rigged. And here in Delaware, Hunter Biden is absolutely guilty, and he is found not guilty. How do you like my Machiavellian strategy?
Well, I like it, but I think they're going to have to really work hard to not find him guilty.
I know.
I know. It's real plain. He was, the question is, was he using drugs when he applied for the purchaser ID or applied for the permit for that gun? And everyone that testified said, yeah, he was out of control. They have photographs and videos of him out of control during that time. I don't see how anyone could say he wasn't using drugs during that time. So, I'll wait for what the defense has to say, and I think we always should wait for the defense and see, not make snap decisions. But I think the way things are going, it looks like it's going to be a pretty tough time for him.
See, I agree, John, completely, but you never know, though. It is Delaware. The Bidens are very popular. The last polling data was like 60-40. They're really popular. There's a Secret Service, ex-Secret Service agent on the jury. There's other people that they think could be favorable. That doesn't mean that you could be favorable to someone and say, well, I'm sorry, I do like you, but, you did do this. So, I'm not saying that level of integrity doesn't exist. I'm holding out hope. I agree with you. I think he is going to be found guilty, and he should be found guilty. But I'm holding out hope that jury nullification, or at least a juror or two, hold out, and he's not convicted, because I think the optic of Hunter Biden getting a break in a Delaware court and Trump getting crushed in a New York City courtroom would be very, very good for the Trump narrative.
Yeah. I think it would be, but again, they're really going to have to try hard, very hard, to not convict him. So there may be somebody on there that'll hang the jury, but we'll see.
What do you? All right, so I concur, Counselor. So let's move on. What do you think Judge Merchan on July 11th, 4 days before President Trump will accept the Republican nomination for President of the United States? None of this is lost on me, John. I've heard that this type of case, sometimes they don't do the sentencing for 3 months. This is happening 4 days before the Republican National Convention. And Merchan, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. I think he's dirty. I think he's corrupt. I think he's bad. So I have nothing good to say about him. He didn't get this case. He wanted this case. It's not like he got assigned this case. He wanted it. His daughter has parlayed it into millions of dollars for Democrats. Merchan is a Joe Biden contributor. He's also a contributor of some kind of Stop Trump type of anti-Republican group that he contributed to that as well. I mean, this is shocking that this corrupt situation has been allowed to actually get through the finish line. It's maddening to me, actually. What is he capable of, in your estimation, on July 11th sentencing?
I think he's capable of putting Trump in jail. I really do. I mean,
I'd say he won't. I do too. I say he won't.
Yeah. I don't think it's likely that he will, but what is he capable of? I think he's capable of doing that. I think he would like to do that, and that would present a lot of that would cause a lot of damage to Trump's campaign in one respect. I mean, if he were put in jail, then how would you handle then the convention? By remote from jail.
Let me ask you this though, John. If this is Machiavellian again. I don't want him to do any of what I'm going to say, but if he goes too far, would that help Trump in a fast appeal to the Supreme Court? Because I don't necessarily trust the appellate court. They take like 6 months before they even hear oral arguments. The election's over, by a month plus. By the time they would even start to hear the oral arguments. I mean, if Trump, you talk about standing, Supreme Court, I can't go to the nominating convention to accept the nomination for President of the United States. If he goes too far, could that invite the Supreme Court in? I don't want to totally compare it to like Bush v. Gore in 2000, but they got involved in that case at an early point. So, your thoughts?
It could trigger the Supreme Court to look at everything. It could trigger the Supreme Court to look at all the prosecutions. As I've said before a number of times, I think ultimately the Supreme Court is going to say that this is a conspiracy. Remember, you don't need a written document to say we are hereby conspiring to do this, this, and this. You can have a conspiracy based on the circumstances and the facts. And I think the Supreme Court ultimately could say this is a conspiracy of all the people who are prosecuting here, including Merrick Garland and including Jack the Ripper. and this is a conspiracy. The common traits are these are novel, never before tested legal theories. They're obviously picked to target President Trump. They're brought by advocates, not people who are uncommitted, but these are all advocates against Trump in at least two cases by people who campaigned on the idea that they would get Trump and that this is an unconstitutional, taken together, it's an unconstitutional attempt to prevent the American people from electing from their constitutional right.
John, let me get the last break in. Don't go away. I want you to finish that, but I want to also add a follow-up question. You can be thinking about it during the break. Not that you would need to, because you know the answer at the spur of the moment. But I like that. I like that defense, and I believe it to be true. Isn't a more basic approach, though, that the court, the prosecutor, did not even have the authority to bring a federal charge like he did. He resurrected, they call it a zombie or Frankenstein type thing, when you take something that died, and it did, the misdemeanors died, and by bootstrapping them to an alleged federal election type felony, they're able to bring it back. Isn't that the winner right there, that it never should have happened in the first place? I mean, yours is great, don't get me wrong, but I want to add that into the mix as well with John. I'm Harry. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person on the radio who isn't afraid to speak the truth about what's really happening in Atlantic City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station.
Small business owners, we know tackling your to-do list can sometimes feel like going 12 rounds against a heavyweight champ. Except that heavyweight's gloves are made of something hard, like diamonds. So when a new to-do pops up, you're like, I can't. I'm boxing my diamond boxing glove wearing heavyweight champ of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy with over 30 customizable coverage options, so you can finally land a knockout blow. See if you can save on business insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Hurley in the morning.
They always have great conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We're back. It's 54 minutes past the hour. John, quick sidebar with a former mayor who wrote me, and I saw it during the break. And Mayor, I wrote you back, but I want to share it to the full audience because it's a really good point that he has made. Let me explain. It reads, Harry, I think Biden will be found guilty, at which time Joe will pardon his son and Donald Trump at the same time. Here's the deal. And this is where this whole thing is just disgraceful that it ever happened in the first place. Joe Biden cannot pardon Donald Trump. It would be the right thing to do. Remember, too, though, the person being pardoned has to admit that they did it. Trump will not admit that he did anything wrong. So that's a problem. But the biggest hurdle to overcome is Trump was convicted of a state crime. And that's where I have the biggest rub, because they attached the federal, improperly attached the federal aspect in order to reactivate this zombie dead case into, young Frankenstein, Abby Normal. Which brain did you get, Igor? Or what do you call him? Igor, I think. So, Mayor, it's flawed. Trump can't get pardoned by Biden because it's a state issue. Kathy Hochul would have to do it, and I promise you she won't. And I do agree that Biden will pardon his son, although they're on the record saying that he won't. And I mean, they are big time on the record saying that he will not pardon his son. But he will not pardon his son until after November 5th. I will guarantee you that, because that would be, he's got a lot of problems in this election, and that would be it. He's done as it is, I think, but pardoning his son after saying he wouldn't, he should have never said, I won't. He should have left it that, hey, it's my son. I'll look at it. It's a hypothetical. He's not convicted of anything. But they're on record, the press secretary and the president himself, saying that they will not pardon him. So they can't do that prior to November 5th. So, John, your theory on the other thing we were talking about, the other case, and then my add-on to that is that I think the strongest argument isn't trying to prove a conspiracy, which I think the Supreme Court and the Democrats on the Supreme Court, they can all have a hootenanny with that. How about the fact that he didn't have the authority to do what he did in the first place? Isn't that the winner?
Sure. I mean, there are lots of winners in the case. The case is a disaster from a legal standpoint. I mean, that's plain. Alan Dershowitz, he doesn't like Trump. He doesn't vote for Trump.
Yeah.
But he calls them the way he sees them, and he says this is a travesty.
It is.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And he was in the courtroom when the judge drove everybody out, and he said the judge looked like, a crazed maniac.
Yeah, because he is. He's a hateful, radical, socialist, Democrat, liberal. That, his mission was, like when Bragg said, I did my job. His job wasn't what you would normally think a prosecutor's job was. His job was, and he announced it in advance, and so did Letitia James, they were going to get Trump. They picked the man. This is Stasi, Soviet, Star Chamber stuff. They picked the man, and then they went after a crime. It's so apparent. John, here's what I want to hear from a great criminal defense attorney like the great John Zarek. The American people before November 5th, and let's remember, they're going to be voting months before that even. The American people deserve, I don't want to quote President Nixon, but the American people deserve to know if their president is a crook. That's what Nixon said. President Trump is not a crook, but he's got this bogus, felonious now 34-count conviction. So they get everything they've ever wanted. It's orgasmic for them. It's their nirvana. They get to say Trump is a convicted felon. Biden's already taken it for a test ride himself. But here's my take on this. Is there a process that would give the American people the opportunity to see if this was wrong, if this conviction was wrong, and would a higher court reverse it? If it gets reversed in a year and Biden's in, a year into his second term, that is a miscarriage of justice, and that's election interference at the lowest order. Is there a way, in your estimation, to get a definitive look at this prior to the election?
Yeah, I mean, the Supreme Court could take the case. I mean, the Supreme Court could look at everything. If they want to, and I'm sure that Alito wants to, for sure. I'm sure Kavanaugh wants to, and the other conservative Trump appointees and more conservative Bush appointees. They want to.
Hey, John, what's that thing that they have on the Supreme Court? Each one of them sort of has a territory, and you can go, like one justice can make a decision until the entire court has the opportunity to hear the case. Could that happen in this situation?
Yeah, they could issue stays, but they would quickly get together. They would quickly convene en banc and make a decision together. I believe. So, yeah, this is a travesty, and there are judges. As I said, Alito, Clarence Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh. They're licking their chops to get at this. To get their hands on this. And, I think they're going to prevent Trump from being hurt with this.
I hope so.
Not because they're partisan and they want to do something bad.
They would be righting a wrong.
That's right. They want to correct this horrible injustice.
So I don't forget, and we're down to the final 5 minutes. Let me take this opportunity to share with John and with all of our listeners that I received a very beautiful text message from the great Bob the Turkavage. And he wrote, "Thank you and John for the very kind words. That meant a lot to me." And he's visiting with family. He heard about it from a person that I'm not going to out, but you know them, and it's somebody that listens to us, and nice that he that I always, John, I love when we do the right thing and the person hears it themselves. And Bob is able to comment on what you and I had to say, and he wanted.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, I am too, and I told him that. I wrote him back. I'm really happy. I would have told him about it later, but so that's wonderful. All right, please continue, Counselor. We have about 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, so I look forward to the Supreme Court straightening this out. I really do.
Me too. But how do you get it there? You have to file something, whatever they call it, certiorari or whatever. You're looking to get standing before the Supreme Court.
Yeah, who's in charge of standing before the Supreme Court? That's the question. Of course, the Supreme Court. Yep. If they want to find a way to take a case, they're going to do it. You know, it's not.
But they don't scoop down on their own. Somebody has to come to them.
No, I'm sure President Trump's lawyers will do what's necessary to put him in that position.
Yeah.
If that's required. You know, if that's required, that they would certainly do that. But, you know, this aren't normal rules. Uh-huh. This is the equivalent of the South abolishing the Constitution of the United States.
Or not putting Lincoln on the ballot in certain states.
Yeah, they didn't put him on the ballot.
Yeah.
I mean, so that was a civil war. They were willing to destroy the Constitution of the United States, just like the Democrats are here now. Destroy the Constitution of the United States in order to get what they want politically. And that's exactly what Biden is doing here, you know, and the Democrats who support him, especially, you know, Bragg and Fani Willis. You know, they're willing to do anything. I mean, Fani Willis and her boyfriend, they sat there and lied. Not even good lying. It was preposterous lying where everyone on the right and left knew they were lying. No one has come out and said, oh, no, they were telling the truth. It's plain that they were telling the truth. Everybody in the country knows they're lying, right? So they were willing to do anything.
I know.
And Bragg is willing to do anything in order to hurt Trump.
You know where Trump was lucky in Georgia, John? Oh, God, how do I forget that guy's name? I forget the judge's name, but whatever. He at least allowed the appeal. He could have denied the appeal. He allowed the appeal to take place. And so the Georgia appellate court indefinitely paused the case, and they're looking now at Fani Willis, whether she could even be on the case. She's going to be like these other ones we're talking about. I see some bad stuff coming for her and possibly for Wade.
She's going to be indicted. I don't have any question about that she and Wade are going to be indicted for what they did. And, it's so...
By the way, John, all these people, Wade was at the White House, Bragg was at the White House. The music's playing us off, but I want to give you a quick 30 seconds on that, John. They're coordinating this. This conspiracy that you're talking about is real.
Sure. They think they can get away with anything.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with having stupid people in public office. I don't mind stupid people, actually. There are a lot around. But I mind stupid people who are mean and nasty and criminal.
Yeah.
That's another breed of cat. So that's what they are.
Yeah, no doubt about it. John, great discussion.
Oh, it was great, Harry.
Loved it. Safe travels, my friend.
Care.
You too, man.
Bye-bye.
Look forward to it. Yep. Until next time. Brian Kilmeade is here. We will be with Brian tomorrow. He always remembers to ask me to send his regards to you, which I'm sure I will be doing. Check us out on the digital platform of WPG Talk Radio 95.5 throughout the day. We're already twice